Well, hello and hello to whoever you're gonna be. So we are here. Not really kind of like Sunday, Sunday,
Yep.
and we're gonna chat comics. I'm gonna be in my therapy session, so there you go. Number 16 for me now, so I'm going strong.
Number 16, hey?
Yeah, it's been a
Wow.
while, eh? Yeah, and then
Yeah.
don't forget we had way more before. So
Yep.
I just started naming this when I got like, yeah, this is actually kind of very therapeutic. So why don't you call it? And actually, it's quite
Yep.
nice to actually know how many. It's kind of crazy
Yep.
thinking about it. Sundays, how many Sundays there was, and every other Sunday, don't forget as well. So
Yep.
shoo goes. You start calculating. It's been a
Every
while.
once in a while, I go through that history. Like I go through the history of
Yeah,
our chats and stuff, and it's
yeah,
crazy to see like how long it's been that we've been doing just like not even just like you're saying, not even just the Sunday things, just chats. I mean, there's
yeah,
one in the archives of you, me, and Spiro having a conversation. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's like it's been a long damn time that this kind of thing has
yeah.
been happening.
I slept over to put that notification about this chat. Yesterday I wanted to do it, but I fall asleep instead. So okay, I woke up. I was like, "Oh yeah, we agreed. I need to make this one up
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I forgot. I forgotten. So
yeah.
yeah, and I went to sleep quite early. I don't know. Spring. I need to get used to the spring stuff.
Right.
Whatever. Yesterday we had the most gorgeous day. Look at me talking about weather. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was interesting to start to feel the sun finally.
Yeah, it was
I
beautiful here
mean,
today too.
yeah, minus
Yeah.
10, something like that.
No, I don't know what the temperature is, but the snow is gone now and the sun is shining and things are looking kind of looking more alive out there. Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Because
-10.
you
Why
Canadians, minus 10 is like 20 for us in here, yeah.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, spring is coming.
Yeah.
Everything is like blooming. I
Yeah.
was like, what? But
Uh,
yeah, you're hardcore there in that
yeah.
part
Well,
of the lens. You
I
are.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, no, but that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying. It's just kind of like you really like you can take it.
Yeah.
the chills and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
Have you managed to watch anything interesting? Have you went to see cinema, new movie? Did you?
Honestly,
No.
yeah, we did.
Oh,
So
what? Where did you go?
when I was a teenager,
Hmm.
Judy Bloom was fucking enormous writer for me. Like Tales of a
Uh-huh.
Fourth Grade Nothing, Super Fudge,
Uh-huh.
Blubber.
Hmm.
Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Then again, maybe I won't. Like all of these books, like I love Judy Bloom. So we watched a documentary on. Uh, I don't even know it. I think it was no, actually, I think it was Amazon. We watched
Hmm.
this documentary on Judy Bloom, and it
Hmm.
was fucking outstanding. Because there's a movie, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, is out in the theater. It opened on Friday.
Oh
So
wow.
after watching the documentary and being reminded of her stuff and just seeing what an amazing woman she was, we watched it with Lillian. She was sort of interested, sort of not, because documentaries can be boring as shit for
For
adults,
kids.
never mind children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so the movie opened on Friday, and we figured, you know what, let's go to the theater to see it. It's
Hmm.
first of all, it's been years since I've gone to the theater to see something that's not like a blockbuster or an action thing or whatever, like just to see a movie. And
Hmm.
honestly, it was so much fun. First of all, the movie was incredible. They did an
Hmm.
amazing job. The actresses in it were just fucking incredible. It was also great being one of the only guys in the theater with a bunch of older women who this book obviously meant a lot to them when they were young girls.
Oh wow.
um
Okay.
I don't know if you know the story. It's this
Mm.
girl, she's a preteen, and she's her and her friends are starting to think about like wearing bras and getting their period and all these kind of things, right? Like the changes that naturally happen and the anxiety and things that come with just being a kid in general, which is what Judy
Mm.
Bloom was so good at capturing. So it's cool to be in the theater with all these women who clearly had read the book, because I overheard a couple of them who didn't know each other chatting about it afterwards, and the excitement in their voices and the laughs at certain scenes. And like it was set in 1970, and
Hmm.
honestly, highly recommended. I think they did a bang up job. I remember the book. Lillian's now reading the book. She got it yesterday. They found it at the bookstore, so she's
Oh
reading the
wow.
book, which is exciting because it's kind of first kind of prose books that she'll read all by herself.
Oh
We've read
wow.
some stuff to her, but this will be the first one that, because she'll she reads a lot of graphic novels, so this will
Mm-hmm.
be kind of early. So I'm kind of excited about what she has to say about it. She's been talking about it already. She's like 5 chapters in or something, so which is great. So it was such a fun movie though, so much fun. And going to see a movie that's not a blockbuster at a big theater was still a total blast. We had a really nice time as a family actually. So yeah,
Mm. Oh, cool. We
yeah,
were contemplating, well, I was contemplating getting the idea of getting my son for the first time to cinema.
yeah,
And of course, watching something he likes, you need to make sure that because otherwise he's not going to stay there and it's going to be a waste of cash.
yeah.
So maybe we're going to do it tomorrow. I don't know if I convince them to do it, but
Are you gonna?
I want to take Mario movies
Yeah,
come.
yep.
So he's absolutely mad about it anyway. So I was thinking, no, apparently it's good reviews as well. So why not?
Apparently it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't mind going.
Yep.
There you go. Miss O is here.
Hello, Miss Soap.
Hello. Nice.
One of the guys I bowl with, he took his daughters to see the Mario movie, and
Mhm.
we saw him at bowling on Tuesday. And how was he? He's like, it was honestly, it was incredible. We came home, we all
Oh,
played Mario Kart. He said it was such a good movie. The girls loved it. His
oh,
daughters
cool.
are, I think his daughters are 7 and 9. I think
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, 7 and 9 or 6 and 8. I don't remember, but they're right around Lillian's age. And he said they absolutely had a blast with it. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad. I definitely want to take him because I think it would be perfect movie first, and I think he absolutely obsessed with it.
yeah,
I mean, in generally, he watches a lot of YouTube videos about Mario and stuff like that. So
right,
I think he would. And I said that to my husband while he was next to us. And then he didn't shut up, and we were not supposed to go anywhere, that
right.
direction. It's like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't have spoken. I kind of forget that he gets whatever he wants to understand. He will understand it properly.
Mhm.
Kids' attention. They don't care whatever you say. It goes through there. But
That's right. Selective hearing. Yeah.
whatever, yeah, exactly. But whatever it was, mentioning the right word, like ice cream, especially. Oh my god. I can't say it now. We have to
Right.
say wow, it's like ICE, like before you actually mention to him, so it doesn't combine together. So
Right.
it's kind of funny in that sense. But
Hilarious.
yeah. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do it because tomorrow's off, so maybe it would be a good day, but it probably would be busy. So
Yeah.
never know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. I've not watched much.
Yeah.
Actually, we start. There's not much to watch, to be honest, at the moment. And Taskmaster started it again, the new season.
Sweet.
So we are kind of. I like it a lot. I find it. It depends, though. It depends on the team. It depends on the cohesion.
Yeah.
But it was quite good because there's a couple of the people I know which I'm blanking the names now of. Was the ginger stand-up comedian? Is quite dirty, like words.
Oh, the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
Who had the show? Yeah.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
he's on the new season. Oh wow.
Yeah, he's there. So it's kind of hilarious as well because there's a couple of stand-ups. There's one of them and I think there's a Canadian chick, Maya Martin.
Okay.
I think she's a stand-up, but she's
I
doing
don't
it a
recognize
lot
the name, but yeah.
I don't know where she's from, but she sounds like she's not from England. She's definitely not from England. She's across the pond.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure because I've seen her before. She's doing stand-up in here in England, but I don't know where she's from exactly. Anyway.
Yeah.
So she seems to be okay so far.
Yeah.
Some hilarious parts, but like first couple of episodes are a bit clangy at the beginning, because they don't gel yet, and it's kind of like rough around the edges. Of course, both hosts are absolutely hilarious, and they come up with some really ridiculous stuff, that's what basically sells the show anyway.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm really glad to watch that. So that's coming up. So it's 5 episodes in. So
5. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's one of my favorite British shows, like UK shows. I love Taskmaster, and I totally agree with you. There's some seasons that just they didn't hit as hard as other ones, but there's some like when it hits, oh my god, is it ever ridiculously fun? It's such a good idea for a show.
I mean, they really need to relax. It seems to be they get into the motion, and it seems to be the minute they do that, it just skyrockets sometimes.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We finished Mandalorian yesterday, the last 2 episodes.
And then what do you think?
I
Was
wasn't crazy about this season. I liked the first two seasons more. The first two seasons I thought were really good. This one was good. Like, it was enjoyable. I didn't hate it or anything, but it was just okay. Like, it's kind of cool. Near the end, it got a little much. I loved seeing like those royal guards or whatever in the red. Like, I love that costume is fucking amazing anyway. And seeing this
mm,
kind of like early version on it, I think is so it was super cool, man. Like, super cool stuff. And some of the ship designs and stuff are cool. I loved seeing that kind of like sailboat thing going across Mandalore when they first meet them in the second last episode or whatever. Some of
mm.
those details I think are super neat. But yeah, overall the season was yeah, it worked enough.
What
Yeah.
do you think about Bo-Katan?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, I remember her from Battlestar Galactica and how much I loved her in Battlestar Galactica. She's good in this one. I found near the end though there was too much of like this kind of posing and stuff where I'm like, okay, all right, we get it. Yes, you're the
Yeah.
leader. Yes, we get it. You're summoning in a new era. I mean, it's a
Uh-huh.
cool idea for sure. It is, and to see them all together again was pretty amazing. I'm curious what happens next season. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite of the three seasons so far.
Yeah, it was kind of more concentrating on something else to make do for somebody else to make the shows going forward, maybe.
Mhm.
But we'll see. I heard some things that they're not getting along with the creator of Mandalorian,
Oh, really?
John Favreau, isn't it? Is that guy? Yeah,
Oh, I
it is,
think,
isn't
yeah,
it?
you're right. Yeah,
So yeah, something is not working, something, but just the rumor, like what you hear, whatever else. But you never know what's going to happen because,
yeah.
you know. But he's the one who created Mandalorian
Hmm.
series. He's the writer and all that stuff, and
Hmm.
that's where basically everybody got really excited about Mandalorians and generally and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
we will see how that goes, but
yeah, totally.
you never know. Yeah, I'm just saddened because there's no Star Trek anymore, and I mean the Picard series, which I
Hmm.
absolutely adored, and it's becoming like when you're watching and there's the wind down and you can't see anything like that sci-fi related. It's becoming like there's some new coming out as well because there
Yeah,
will be, but yeah, it's kind of weird, because I really enjoyed the Picard. I think
yeah,
that really trumped most of the series in Mandalorian stuff.
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah,
the
that's what's.
other the other thing I saw was on YouTube. It sort of ties into comics too. I watched
Uh-huh.
there's this, I don't know, is it 2.5 hours, 3 hours? I watched it over a couple of nights. It's
Mhm.
the making of Alien, the first Alien movie there.
Oh
Um
wow.
it's amazing because they talk about Dan O'Bannon, is that his name? He worked on Jodorowsky's Dune. So he was
Mhm.
talking about like meeting Mobius and even what the hell is the director's name again?
Oh no, don't ask
Oh
me.
fuck, I just blanked on it. Anyway, so he was talking about being a fan of Heavy Metal magazine and he taking a lot of influence from Mobius, and they even
Uh,
incorporated some Mobius like designs into the set on the interiors of the ship and things. And then talking about Dan O'Bannon talking about meeting Geiger, and as soon as he saw Geiger's paintings, going, "That's an alien. That's my script that I have in my head. That's what it's got to look like." So making this movie, if he wouldn't have had that experience going out for this Jodorowsky's Dune and meeting these Europeans and these artists specifically, that movie would have been very, very different. So it was a super cool documentary, especially seeing like Geiger on set
mhm.
constructing a lot of the sets and things. And apparently the story is that nobody wanted to work with him because they were scared of him because he always wore black. There was rumors
Uh,
going around that he had like his ex-wife's skeleton after she passed away from cancer in his house. So there was all these like rumors. So nobody wanted to work with him because they were scared. There was two guys that worked with him, and their stories are like, it was fucking an incredible experience. The guy was unbelievable. It was amazing to see an artist of that caliber like work alongside them, and some of the stills and stuff they have of him on top of these sets and carving and sanding things, and it's amazing for that stuff. The rest of it is also really fascinating,
mm.
from kind of like it's such a classic movie at this point, but it's cool to see that other side of it too, right? So yeah,
Okay, cool, cool, cool,
makes me
cool.
want to see the movie again. I've seen it a whole bunch of times, but makes me want to see it again for sure.
Mm. I
Yeah.
don't know. I watched it, to be quite honest with you, because I really wanted to see what's the first. Well, everybody was so excited about it, so of course I had to kind of My mom watched it as well. She loves those kind of stuff a lot
Mhm.
more than I am, for sure, 100 times more.
Yep.
But I watched, and I remember how many nightmares I had afterwards.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, and the won't come out. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna watch it. So I'm gonna be just like part of the band. And
Yeah.
nobody like, when you scare or something and if nobody seems to be care, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna watch it. So if you don't want it, you can go there just hide in your room or something like that. And be like, but no, I have, like, I know I'm strong and I'm gonna persevere and I'm gonna be better this time. Nope,
Yeah.
worse than before. So yeah, I used to like, because of the scenes, like when the alien was
Yeah.
just that leaking, that
Yep.
goo. And I was like, oh my god. And you're like, oh, it's gonna be, and I jumped many times,
Yep.
honestly. So
One of the things they talk about it near the end is there was an early cut that was like 3 hours long, and it was that long because they wanted to have way more just really moments where there was nothing really happening. They really wanted you to be part of the ship's crew. So then when those things happened, it was even more intense, right? And
Jesus
apparently they
Christ.
screened an early version of that one. And they said, honestly, the impact it had on the audience, we had so many people running out of the theater because they were just fucking terrified because the tension just really built up so much, right? So they were kind of disappointed when they had to cut it. They had to cut it. They didn't have a choice. They
Oh
cut like, an hour and a half out of it or an hour out of it. And they
shit.
said it was still the reaction that audiences had when they would go and screen it was just unbelievable for the time, like Exorcist and things like that would have had similar effects, right? So
Hey Andrew.
hello, Andrew Lopez.
Yeah, so yeah, alien is always gives me like
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I don't know if I want to. I mean, surely someday I will be are you talking about New King movie?
No, we're talking about Alien, the first Alien.
Yeah, experiencing on that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I want to. Maybe one day. I keep on saying that I'll be brave enough to watch one day, but
Yep.
maybe it has to be really, really bright
Right.
everywhere for me not to freak out.
Right. During
So
daylight, yeah.
yeah, but anyway, it doesn't work. I still get freaked out because of
Yeah.
that really right moments where that thing just like strikes and you're like, oh, you jump off the seat because the tension buildup is fantastic. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what we call a good editing is all about,
Totally.
Anyway,
I mean,
okay.
and honestly, even if you never see the movie, the documentary is incredible. Just to see the behind the scenes and hear the stories and things,
Yeah,
it's really worth your time.
okay, cool. Like
Yep.
if I want to,
Yeah, for sure.
Even
Yeah.
that thinking about like maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Silly me. I'm such a cow when it comes to like, oh, I'm so scared. But
Right.
I am. I always try, but I never succeed.
Yeah, my wife is the same. She's not a fan of horror movies at all, which is crazy because she's worked on horror movies and she's done makeup for horror movies. She knows what goes on, but it's still like, she's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter though. I see the product on screen and it still scares the shit out of me. Even though I know how it's all done, it still scares the shit out of me, So she's just not a fan.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it's just effect. I guess some people gets that effect,
Yep.
And I got it from the right wee baby I was, so that didn't work. Anyway, okay, so we talk comics now.
Yes, absolutely.
We bore people enough now for a couple of minutes. Anyway, so you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. So I finally found book 2 of Spiegelman's Mouse the other day in a used in Red River Comics, so used copy of it. So I took this opportunity. I've read book 1 a long time ago. But
you have not finished?
No, I've never read book 2 because I've had this one for quite a while, but I've never found a copy of book 2 instead of like buying new ones. And I'm like, well, I don't want to buy a new set because I've got book 1. I'll just wait. Eventually I'll find a secondhand copy of number 2. So I reread this one. I just finished it this morning, actually. Oh my God. Like it's a classic for sure. But I think that doesn't, at least for me, it didn't get in the way of kind of like, it's just an exceptional story. And it was nice to kind of revisit it and be reminded of some things within it. One of the things that really jarred me this time was, oh man, as usual, I should have marked the page. Them talking about his father, talking about his time in Poland and then
Mm-hmm.
in the concentration camps. So at the end of book one, him and
Yeah.
his wife are brought to Auschwitz. So that's going to be
Yeah.
what this book is about here. So
Oof.
we get some stuff on the concentration camps in this one because they're like at a certain point, we all knew what was going on. We all knew what it meant if you were sent off to these camps. We all knew about the ovens and all these things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they were kind of at a stage that they knew when they went when they were taken what was going to happen to them. So this one is a lot of them trying to like hide out and make deals and things. There was just some moments where it was such an intense scene, and the way it was handled in here was kind of like not brushed off, but just kind of like told and then moved on with the story. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
you know, in some kind of books about the subject, you kind of really sit in that for a little while, right? Like you'd really sit in those moments, like when people in his town got hung for being in the black market, and they
Yeah.
left them hanging there for like a week, and he would see them every day and avoid that part of town because he was on the black market as well, Art's father,
Mm-hmm.
to make some money for them and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing book, and I think those kind of things, they're not glossed over because they're not important. It's just this was the narrative. There's the scene there. This was the narrative of kind of what was going on and how you just kind of had to be in that. So I think the way it's presented is really incredible. Not that I've never heard stories about the Holocaust or anything like that, but it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of good to be reminded of like the tone of the book. And honestly, something I don't remember happening the last time was at the end of this book, I'm not sure about his dad. I feel like there's something coming about his dad, and I don't want to, even though it's an older book, if people haven't read it, I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but I'm not sure about his father. I'm not sure about that. And it's also cool to see Art himself at one point in this book say something similar. Like he's like, I don't know, the way my dad is talking, I don't know what I want to do with some of this stuff I'm learning from him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so impressive for a reason, and it's really good to kind of finally have both of them so I can sit and read it in one chunk as it should be, right? Or I think
Yeah.
as it should be anyway, back to
Yeah.
back. So this week, probably tonight, actually will be book two to kind of finish it off. So
I read this really early in the comic book reading time.
yep.
I heard about it, and a lot of people were talking in that time. I think because maybe it was reprinting or something. So I remember picking up from library as well,
Hmm.
and I found it really interesting and
Yep.
heartbreaking, to be honest, because it's so
Totally.
close to where I am.
Yep.
And then I was talking to my mom about a lot of things what happened to my grandma or her grandmother actually. So they were in the gulags as well.
Hmm.
So and she came back, and then things happened different, to them. So anyway, but then also my grandmother hiding Jewish people in her basement, especially kids,
Yeah.
because she could not take it, and how many times she was about to, all actually family was about to lose everything, like life
Hmm.
in as well, because of her need to do so, and how people were discouraging that as well in the neighborhood. But yeah, this one is always, it's kind of hard, but it's always nice to see a different point of view from other people's experiences, and
Yep.
especially when him talking about his father's accounts. I know what you mean about that sussiness about his dad, but I think it's just the way his experiences were.
Yep.
And I think to say that to your son or relive that kind of once again in that kind of fashion, it always brings up something different in your parent you have never seen before.
Hmm.
Because I would assume a lot of people who has experienced that wouldn't want to come back to that experience
Hmm.
generally. Get that from the family and the whole accounts, especially like my mom said to me, she was trying to basically understand as well those moments, and when people were just stopping talking about it because it's just too hard to talk about stuff.
Yeah. It's the same experience in my family. We had they're both passed away now, but we
Yeah.
used to call them aunt and uncle. They weren't any blood relation to us, but
Uh-huh.
he escaped from a camp. He escaped, and every time he would start talking about his experiences, his wife would stop him. Irving, no, Ermin, Irwin were their names, and she would stop him and say, "No, you can't. You're not talking about this. It makes you too upset." So I never heard any stories. And same with my opa. He was born in Poland and then served in
Mm-hmm.
the war.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard any stories from him. It was just something that was not talked about at all in our family, like not at all. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious, but the couple of times I would even remotely bring it up, even from like a football field away from actually asking any direct hard questions. It was just like nobody wanted to talk about it. So it was really,
Mm.
yeah, it was. I mean, it's something, and especially now that they've all passed away, like my opa is long gone, my
Mm.
aunt and uncle, or my mom's aunt and uncle, who again, not
Yeah.
blood relatives, they're long gone as well. Like, and my parents don't know the stories either. You know, I might ask them again now, though, saying that out loud, just to see, like, were you being honest with me when you said you don't know stories, or do you know something? Because I'm really curious, you know, and I totally understand though how, why would you want to kind of talk about it and relive it, especially if it was fucking horrific, you know? So yeah,
Mm.
it's something.
Yeah, well, like Jared said, he was 20 when he was reading it and finding a bit whiny. Oh, interesting that.
Yeah,
Well, it would be different, yeah, from
I
your
think
point
it's
of
worth
view.
revisiting for sure.
Yeah. Ah, I see.
About
Oh,
the sons. Oh, about art's perspective.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. And then disappointing memory history. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it
yeah,
would be
it's
good. I mean, everybody wants to know about their family, right? But the other side
yeah,
is we never pushed because we always understood, like, of course, if you don't want to talk about it, far be it for me to like force you to talk about, I don't
mm,
know what, because again, I have no idea. I've got some little tiny nuggets,
yeah,
but I can't even imagine, even reading this and again, being reminded of the things that were going on. It's really hard, even with text or a movie or a comic or whatever it is, to really kind of get across what that must have been like. I can't even fucking imagine it. I just can't. I can see it from such a bird's eye view and have
mm,
empathy for, but I obviously can't fully understand it. So I can't imagine that now you're like 70 or 80 years old and hey, let's talk about this time I had in my life. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. I've either
mm,
dealt with it or I've pushed it away so far that I don't even want to think about it. Right. So
mm,
that's also what's impressive about books like this, getting somebody talking about it. Right. So,
yeah.
and getting comfortable enough to kind of disclose some stuff, you know.
Hmm.
So
I think in general, it's. I think sometimes we do need to talk about it because then we forget what really happened and it
yeah,
becomes like myth or legends to the points.
yeah,
So those books like these needs to be in existence. And I remember I was reading, I forgot the name now, but Lithuanian um, wrote their grandmother's experiences in the gulags as well, and then
hmm,
being in Auschwitz as well, like all that stuff. And it's the same. They just came into your house, took everything away from you, and put you in a train
yeah,
and get you to the destination you don't want to be, and you don't understand why this is happening to you and your family,
hmm,
and how survival of the fittest becomes a thing, where you are where the land is not like really forgiven to grow anything or to strive to be positive and just live along and see maybe there will maybe good. And then there's people who, like, especially for the kids, how kids became safe, was firstly saved, and family members maybe will be arriving alive and well.
hmm,
And it's a pity I don't remember the name of it now. If I would have kept the record like I do now, I would definitely go back and I'll tell you
yeah, yeah.
exactly
You'd
who
see
it
it. Yeah,
is. But unfortunately, I don't. But yeah, it's really kind of it can be heartwarming to read kind of information, but also sad in the same moments. But
totally.
it's not easy not to shy away from the past. But the
Yeah,
history is there for records to have held because it says who we are and what we experienced it. So I
yeah,
think it's a very important and vital part to have, even though it makes some people uncomfortable about talking
hmm,
about it in generally. So
yeah, yeah. And just from
yeah.
like a family side too, it's nice. It's nice to know about your ancestors. You know, like your
Yeah, where
grandparents,
you
and you
come
know,
from,
it's nice
yeah,
to see
yeah,
that
exactly.
lineage.
Exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. And then having my husband's family having to leave where they're from
Uh huh.
because they were Eastern Europeans who were basically going down. Of course, his granddad is English. Whereas his grandmother from that side, she was in Eastern Europe. Poland slash, they were mixed in that time. So
Yep.
so that's the thing. It was quite interesting to see their perspective, like through and through. But he even said though they don't speak about that much. But we
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
though did speak about it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, interesting thoughts. Okay,
Yep.
what should I do? I haven't read that much, to be quite honest with you.
Either did I. I didn't read a ton this week either.
Yeah,
But
but I had this in my because I read. I think I read the first issue, the Snyder's and
oh
Capullo like
yeah.
swan song, the last thing they did together for the
Hmm.
Batman, the last night on Earth. and I really, I actually enjoyed it. It was a bit confusing at first for me, maybe because maybe in the levels of Batman things are kind of I knew, understand, and the first issue is actually quite strong. The second one was where they kind of took that story forward, but made me a little bit confused about it. But then the story starts where, as always, Batman has this unnerving sense of that something is really bad happening, and he's basically finding locations and finding some clues to what's exactly happening. And he's having a conversation with Alfred. He's going after this information, and we find out on the map the outline is of the exact location where his parents were dead. So when he gets to that destination, he finds this boy dead, and where he's going is in that murder alley where his parents were killed. And this boy is look extremely like Batman, young Batman used to look. And he was really startled by it, and there's something really, really bad happening in here. Although his body is kind of like the boy's body is really kind of like about to fall down, like like it's been something happening, and then suddenly you see the scene where he's shouting in these. Joker's talking to him like a doctor. He's in the cuckoo house. He's been captured. He seems to be. He doesn't know exactly what's happening. He's in shock, and everybody just trying to like talk to him. Like, don't worry, everything is fine. You're fine. You just in Arkham Asylum getting treatment. He's like, what, me, what? Well, like that kind of sense of the idea. And he says, like, I don't understand what's going on. Why me? Let me out and let me out. And until the point where he sees Alfred coming through. And then he gets really even more distressed what Alfred is saying, like, son, don't worry, everything is okay, you'll be fine, we'll help you, no, nothing is going to be wrong with you, kind of like. And he's like, understand why people talking to him like that. And he's trying to tell them, like, look, listen, you know who I am, I'm the the bat, like, I am the. And then they try to say, no, this is not who you are. And then they were trying to make sure that he kind of like it just calmed him down, and then they basically had to get all these people in his ward to calm him down. And slightly they give him like an account what really happened, that Batman and anything what Batman is involved is just a dream, really, it's not something real or reality. And then of course you find out that this is your actual cape. It's this suit with a Batman, your obsession of being what you are. And then that's what I'm saying, it's like part 2, and then we're going into this where he tries to escape, and he keeps on climbing, he's defeating everybody, and he realizes that Alfred, who is seeing younger, is actually aged man already, so the time has passed. And he doesn't understand why I'm the young one. What you find out is that he's a copy of a real Batman. Because what really happened in here, that Gotham has changed throughout the times of this young Batman's existence. And that Batman, in order to save humanity, he created the clones of himself. And then you jump into this scene where he goes into a desert, and he finds a Joker in a bowl, just with only head, and he's just talking to him and stuff like that. So it's a really entertaining tale of the Batman. That it's actually an alternative take of what would happen if something really catastrophic, and that would everybody will come take over, and the villain is called Omega. And I was kind of like thinking, because Omega, you read before, if you are at all in DC's interested, because Omega is the one part of the Green Lantern story that Steve King did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was thinking maybe that, but no, it's not that. It's just a name.
Oh.
So you'll find out afterwards that it is a spoiler alert. I hope you don't mind, but it's been a while, this thing.
I don't mind.
The villain Omega is actual Batman.
Oh,
the
okay.
old Batman everybody thought it was. I actually was kind of disappointed, but to be honest with you, because I felt like it would have been like one of the Robins, that who will be having a kind of like meltdown because Batman is disappeared, like dead, and now they need to take over, and they just go, instead of going good, they went evil, and decided that to change in order not to disappoint anybody. They start to killing everybody. Like all heroes, the Lex Luthor got involved, Superman died, Wonder Woman became like Amazonian who is basically trying to save all the the people who is basically hiding in the underground because the surrounding areas is basically completely tarnished and taken over. And the evil Batman's idea of being to save the humanity of his own, like what he feels that he's supposed to have to do, is by taking over their brains and inserting his own ideas that so nobody can hurt.
Right.
So he, brainwash everybody instead of you thinking for yourself, because you know what, I'm know the best for you because I am the Batman, and I need
Right.
to basically make you feel like you're okay.
Yeah.
Like really by brainwashing, and this is who basically perished because of that decision.
Mm.
And then in order to basically take over everybody's brain, he's using John's alien Martian Manhunter abilities to basically become like an antenna to take over. And this is Wonder Woman, the way she looks,
Mhm.
and Mohican and stuff like that. So yeah, I honestly, the first couple of issues were extremely strong until the point where you find out who's the villain, and that really spoils the hell out of it.
Mhm.
Because you don't need Batman to defeat Batman and have this villainous ideas. Yes, it's kind of interesting that Batman can be a villain as well because of his, non-stop belief that he needs to help everybody, and he's the knight of the Gotham, and not only he starts spreading his wings everywhere else, but it would have been much more tormenting for his own Batman to be like a Robin. The one kid he's trying to protect, and he goes completely apeshit for evil.
Mhm.
And whatever he studied from you, he basically turns it around completely and turns into something really horrible. But then you understand that he's basically fighting himself. So yeah, like that. This is the bad guy. This is his costume.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's him, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm dying, I need your body, that's why I made the clones of you, so because I can take over, blah blah blah. So that's kind of like evil part.
Mhm.
What's really strong of this is of course Capullo's art. That's absolutely stunning. I really enjoyed it. I always did enjoy Capullo generally, and I like Batman runs on his. And there's lots of action scenes, of course, of Batman. I cannot believe the dark side was defeated by Batman also,
Right,
because
right.
the levels of dark side can be, but
Yeah.
you take the grain for that. But honestly, okay, it wasn't a bad read.
Yeah.
It's entertaining to what Batman book can be. And I tried my best, but Capullo's art isn't easy to do, but I just did this.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
is that the only book in the series, or is there a second book, or is that it?
No, this is it.
Story? Yeah, that's
this is it. Yeah, there's one. It was collected, 6 issues, I think.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I don't know. I don't even know, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, part 10. So I don't know, 10 issues then. I don't know how it was. It's going in single issues. I remember people were picking up. The first one was kind of like $6, I think. The first issue, like that format. But it doesn't even say near the back how many issues it is contained in the story. But as I said, it's entertaining. But it's I think the villain should have been much stronger than what it was.
Yeah.
Because I started having this like crazy ideas in my head. Okay, Robin first. Surely, Damien could have been. Because Damien had always those tendencies of being, because of his mother's blood.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, Talia Ghul is not a candy floss candy kind of thing.
No, she's fucking amazing. Talia Ghul is the best.
Yeah. So she has her own way. So you would take tendency of that. So, and then he always had, he died and he was resurrected once again. So all those sort of things that can come into play. But I guess Batman always needs to defeat himself.
Yeah.
There's no better villain to take over Batman. It just feels like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Lopez agrees with me about the villain part. So, but anyway, it's good to read this kind of things when in library and check it out what the work is. But the writing
the best way to read them.
Yeah, the writing is strong until the point they decide. Like you have a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, like this idea, which he had, as I say, feel like he needed somebody completely different because you have all the villainy, and like everybody was listening to him. all hail Omega almost to that point, like they were
Uh-huh.
saying. That all the villains were like absolutely shitting in their pants.
Yep.
But there's always somebody who can just, the most weaknesses you always know Batman has is his Robins. Always have been. Even though people are saying to me like or to you, or oh, we have an idea that Joker and Batman, those two just comes in hand and there you go, they just fight to each other to the death and never die and blah 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 comes back.
Mhm.
I still think the biggest weakness of Batman is Robins. It always has been. He
Yeah,
goes
totally.
completely crazy when something happens to one of the Robins.
Yeah.
So surely you could just take that Robin and just take to a level where, yeah, like you can get to that point. But
Yeah.
maybe just editorial doesn't let them do that. There's
I mean,
always
yeah,
another
it's got to
side.
live. It's got to exist in a
Yeah,
world ultimately, right? And we've
yeah,
talked about that before. How that can be kind of, you get hamstrung by that sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Capullo's art in that you were showing looked a little different from what I remember of his art, but it's
Yeah.
been so long since I've paid attention to him, right?
He
So,
he has changed because a lot of I heard about people who has been following him from the beginning, from the Spawn era.
uh-huh.
He still, this is atypical face of Capullo, okay?
Yeah.
So he has the same thing what lots of artists have. It's the same face.
Hmm.
So um I don't know the names. Steve Dillon, for example, he always has the same people's faces. So even Capullo has the same. Even the females
Right.
almost look to that point. But it's not that he has so many other strengths. I think what Capullo's strength is Alfred. Alfred
Yeah.
looks absolutely goddamn amazing done by
Yeah.
him. I think it's just the way Alfred should look in generally.
Hmm.
Not that a lot of iterations of Alfred. I don't. The way he looks. I'm talking not what
Yeah.
his
Yeah. Yeah.
personality is all about,
I
but
know
the
what
way
you
he
mean. Yeah.
looks. But the Capullo in generally, he's really strong in like the alleyways and he also gets the who's the colors in here. I think it's Glapion, isn't it? It's Inca. FCO Placencia is colorist.
Okay.
But the Jonathan Glapion he's an inker and has always been very very strong. Like this is really beautifully done.
Hmm.
And he's really like jarring to your face, and I think he's one of the strongest talents.
Hmm.
Hello, Damien. Howdy to
Hello.
you too. So yeah, I just say it's just interesting, and he's uh, when in the future, whatever time passed, he's Commissioner Gordon is this hippie smoking dude, which
Hmm.
absolutely he looks hilarious. I can't find him now, of course. He has this like he's balding and he has a long ponytail,
Okay. Yeah.
and he's like that. Oh, you just have to relax, like that kind of
Right.
vibe from him.
He's the
Like
dude
those.
all of a sudden. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's the dude. I can't. Of course, I can't find him. It's just they're not come on scenes. And Barbara Gordon. Oh, that's him. That's that. Wait, sorry.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Let me just.
Does he have round glasses too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ex
and you
hippie
can't see him.
looking.
He's just in front, but he's like he's like gray hair and he's like
Uh-huh.
you can't really see it really well and stuff like that. And then he's like, yeah, he's just gonna smoke a little bit of something to make himself
Right.
happy, that kind of thing. I mean, after seeing that much shit, I mean, anybody would have, but
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
his experiences that. But yeah, it's interesting. But it's just, as I say, very strong can be, but it seems like they just keep on chicken out when it comes to
Yeah.
big villains for the Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost the Batman is becoming that Hamlet stuff, has
Right. Right.
his own skull and just talks to himself because there's nobody else that can understand or be in that same level as.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it does get tiring. I mean, there's a reason I just moved away from that stuff, right? It just gets like, okay, we've heard this one before. Yeah. What do you got to say that's going to be different than anybody else that's talked about these kind of things, right?
Only Batman is when you not call Batman, but you have like you guys been getting. Unfortunately, I was not didn't get that Batman, that funny one. The bat. What is that? a collected edition of the not Batman, but it's a Batman plastered all over the place. You bought it from Europe. What is this? What is that book? Collected edition. Shit, I don't know the name of.
Oh,
Bat of a
yes, yes,
cat
yes,
or
of
the cat?
course.
What?
Yeah,
Bat of a cat? What is that
Yes,
called?
Josh Simmons stuff. Yeah, the
Yes,
Josh Simmons. Yeah,
that's the
that's a Batman
Batman.
that I would read.
Yeah.
Yes, that, or it's either that extreme or Audio Adventures extreme. It's like, I'm gonna go either way. It's got to be on
Yeah.
those ends. Yeah, of course, the Josh Simmons stuff. Yeah, spaced
Yeah.
out. I didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. As I say, I always have this idea, but I never know the names.
right. Yeah.
It just escapes me all the time.
Honestly, it's so worth getting that Blood of the
Mm,
Bat. It's so worth it. It's yeah. I've
yeah, when,
never. It's so dark and great. Yeah.
exactly. So it's entertaining. But yeah,
Yeah.
Batman is always. Who's doing Batman now? Is it King still
Oh,
or no? No.
fucked if I know. Yeah. No idea.
Or is it the guy who did the lake thingy? What's his name?
Oh, Tinian? Is it
Yeah.
really him doing it? Oh, really?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't I haven't looked at it honestly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I honestly don't
Maybe.
even look at the books on the shelf when I go to like Galaxy or what. I see them and I
Yeah.
scan for like the audio adventures or the new adventures, but I don't even pick up those other ones.
So,
The only one I picked up recently was they had that Ra's al Ghul year
mhm.
one thing. I had picked that up because I was very curious. The interiors didn't look horrible. I almost bought it, but I ended up putting it back on the shelf. I am kind of curious about what that's like. I haven't, and I don't follow enough people to know anybody that's talking about those books. So I've got no
Are
idea.
with
So
those one shots?
that's correct. Yeah, they had like
Yeah.
a Clayface one. They had the Ra's al Ghul one. I'm sure they had other ones too, but it was the Ra's al Ghul one I was most interested in.
Yeah, I remember. I looked at it because there was a big thing about the cover by English guy. What? Is that
Boland.
Boland? There,
Yeah.
that went absolutely completely crazy. Price
Oh,
wise,
really?
just a
Hey.
photo. Oh, there you go. Damon is giving us a chance. So it's Chip
Oh, I see.
Zdarsky and Rambia on the. Oh wow, Chip Zdarsky. Okay, that goes with you. And they
Yeah.
tried the V book, but even the writer like is starting to really drag. Oh wow, okay. Because Ram V has been like one of the new ones again, the fresh
Yeah.
blood everybody's been talking about
It's
because
the
he was
new
doing
Golden
what
Child. Yeah.
wasn't he doing the Swamp Thing? Isn't it? What people are
Yep.
starting to really talk about him again? Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, I started off really liking his Swamp Thing run, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't like it by the end. It wasn't that interesting. It kind
Oh.
of petered out for me. I like his
Mhm.
more indie. The stuff that I've read is more indie stuff for sure. I like it a lot more. So
I wonder if Chip Zdarsky's Batman feels like Daredevil because kind of in the same
yeah,
vein.
yeah, I wonder. Yeah, yeah,
Because Chip did the Daredevil quite for a long time actually.
he did. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, he's here in town soon. He comes in a couple of weeks for his
You should
signing.
ask
So
him. You
yeah,
should
I'll
ask
ask
him.
him. Hey, so we want to know what the hell?
I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. Why the
So,
fuck would you work for Scotty Young? That's what I'm gonna ask him. I'm just kidding.
yeah. You don't like Scotty, I see.
No, I'm teasing though. I'm teasing. I didn't read them, but I
Oh,
found
oh,
my first book of Friday again. I
oh,
finally stumbled across it. So I've got
oh,
them both out because I want to read them again back to back, but I haven't
oh,
dug into it yet. I was
oh.
just so excited to find it. I put it right here on my reading pile to make sure that I don't forget about it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it was lost to the stacks and I was going to have to buy it again, but such wasn't the case. I don't know if Jared is still here in the chat, but let's talk about this one.
Nice.
I found 4 issues of The Jam from Tundra. So
Uh-huh.
it's a Montreal guy, Bernie Moreau. Um,
Mhm.
it's 5 issues that they reprinted the stuff from slave labor. The slave labor stuff, I only have issue number 1. It's black and white. This one is colored, and it's colored by Bernie Moreau as well too. Um, and it's first of all, it's a really entertaining comic. I think it's
Mhm.
really damn good. um I don't know if I like the color or not. There's some parts where I feel like it works really really well. This was kind of the
Mhm.
page that I loved in the black and white version. Still love it in the color, but there's something that goes on with the later issues that I'm just not sure. The color has this weird, I don't know, it has this weird kind of texture to it that I just can't quite put my finger on. Let me find a good example. And then there's some things with the printing to this comic where it's you can see the edges. I don't know if it shows up on camera,
Yeah.
like on the word balloons, you can see those edges. But
Yeah.
there's something about the coloring that has this kind of real kind of painterly wet texture to it. It's not horrible by any stretch. Especially, it feels like he figures it out as the story goes on, because there's a couple of moments in issues 1 and 2 where the coloring is just so dark. It's not meant to be as dark as it turned out. Like stuff like this, I feel like worked a
Ooh.
lot better in these later issues. This is issue number 3. In
Mhm.
some of the early ones, it's just the whole page got printed really dark, where you can't really see what the hell is going on. So the basics of this guy, the Jam, is he's this guy who just wants to do good. So he gets himself this costume. His sister actually made the costume for him, and he goes out and kind of like fights crime in very, very loose quotes, because he doesn't
Uh-huh.
ultimately really. And then one of these women that he saves is
Uh,
this private investigator who's mixed up with this Sheik character, and she wants him to kind of help her um, join her organization and help out and be like a bodyguard kind of investigator. There's his superhero costume there. So, but it deals more with like his relationships with his girlfriend. The devil makes an appearance. The devil
oh
is out to
wow.
get him specifically.
Oh
So like
wow.
ruin his life. Like next they're focusing on his dog. Nothing happens to the dog yet. Everything is fine. But so it's sort of this kind of comedic, take on, not, it's far from a hard hitting deconstruction of the superhero genre. Far from it. It's
Uh,
just a really fun kind of book with some pretty funny moments.
uh,
So I'm glad that. I mean, again, it's thanks to that Mackenzie Queen that I kind of got on his radar. His artwork really works for me these days. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to find the black and white stuff. I'm
uh,
really looking forward to reading this again in black and white when I find those slave
mhm.
labor books. And I think the slave labor series went on like 8 or 10 issues. The Tundra,
Oh,
they only reprinted the first 5, and then they didn't do any more. So I know that there'll be some more stories after this as well too. So one of the things that was also exciting was there's again a Montreal artist, Rick Trembles. I met him once. He came for this animation festival many years ago, and he did this. He had this podcast called Motion Picture Purgatory, and then he had a comic strip in the Montreal Mirror where he reviews movies, but he does it in like 1-page comic book forms. So this is some early work from him from 1992. I think this was dated as.
mhm.
1991. So it's super cool just to see some of his early art. I love his stuff, but it's cool to see some stuff. He's also a musician. What the hell? The something devices. I can't remember what the band name is, but so it's cool to see some stuff from him just in a 1-pager.
Mhm.
So a fun series. This is definitely, if you see it in a dollar bin, give it a try. I don't know if I would highly recommend it to people that aren't already fans of Bernie or kind of these indie books already. But it's one to keep an eye out for in the cheap bins, not necessarily one to pick up for $5 a piece or anything. So
Okay.
either way, and again, Tundra. So anything
Yeah.
Tundra, honestly, that's more worth picking up, because you're always going to find something cool. So yeah.
Cool. I honestly only saw it. I looked it up on eBay, Tundra stuff, and I've seen a couple,
Yep.
which is great. So, but I do not
What
like
did what did you see?
all the ones you were talking
Oh,
about
okay.
previously. I forgot the name now.
Yeah, the
But
sketchbook series and stuff.
yeah,
Yep.
yes. And I saw one. It was selling something with about sketchbooks, but then they related. And afterwards, I saw the same artist you were talking about, the Turtles books. Again, forgetting his name.
Yep.
He was having the Turtles hardcover just for his editions of that. So I was like thinking maybe, but
Oh, the
then you
Zuli,
know,
Michael Zuli.
Izuli. Yeah, there you
Yep.
go. That's the guy. Yeah. Oh my God, names
There's
and
a collection
lives.
of just the Zuli issues. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I didn't
And
know that.
it was released quite early.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, yeah, and hardcover as well, which is kind of interesting. So
That's
yeah,
very
anybody
cool.
wants to just get Turtles run, you can have it in collected editions. Apparently.
Was it reasonable or was it like crazy
No,
expensive?
very reasonable to be honest. I was almost wanted to take a bite on, but then wrong time. I didn't,
Right.
they couldn't press it on to it. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had more pressing matters at the moment.
Right.
Other things to expense for.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, absolutely.
next is me. So it seems to be I'm getting to start reading more of a 2000 AD stuff or collected editions, especially
Oh,
because this
sweet.
is being collected in the progs. What did they say to me? I think they say yeah. It was originally published in 2000 AD, page AG progs from 2006, 1469 to 1479 editions. And it's called The 10 Seconders, The American Dream. It's by Rob Williams. It seems to be he's 2000. He's like really well known and done a lot of things when it comes to 2000 AD work and writing. So he written Low Life, Class War, Durham Red, lots of stuff. So he's been doing quite a few things around. And this story is called American Dream. We follow a time where it started in London, and everything is absolutely like completely trashed because appearances of gods came into existence and basically ruined everybody's life. We're following a group of British nationals who they are being called 10 seconders, who's basically trying to defeat the gods and find a way to do so. And this member, she has found this detailed chip where they would find a solution to the cause and how to defeat those gods. And it's basically this whole story has been following them through, getting to understand how to finally defeat them. And what the key member or the one person they were really most interested in is this whole scientist, who is basically would be telling them how to get to understand how to defeat them, not knowing that this guy scientist has underlined his own agenda to deal with, and of course everything is just going absolutely crazy. And we have like a priest of the members of 10 Seconders, a Welsh guy who's absolutely crazy to kill everybody. He's like really a big fan of rugby, but he's always disappointed. If you follow Welsh rugby, you can kind of know, and even in that time was. And they basically come to get him or save him, and she's basically trying because her family's been killed by those gods, and then they show you how the gods appeared. So this guy comes appear out of nowhere, and at the beginning they were good guys. They were trying to basically help with humanity, but until they realize the humans are so bad that they need to be having to be taken over by them, and told them just to follow us and basically pray and be completely in awe of the gods, and then we will be fine. But of course, people don't like that, and lots of wars has happened. So finding this guy, the scientist, they end up going to New York because he's telling them that in order for me to tell you all of the stuff, you have to get me to New York, and I'll actually tell you who they are and how to defeat them. And to their surprise, which is kind of a spoilers because it kind of makes it more understandable the story itself. The gods aren't really the gods; they're aliens who came into. They crash landed. They didn't know where they were. They're actually hiding from somebody else. But then they realized they found an opportunity to basically be a god on Earth. And I wasn't understanding that all the way through because I was thinking, okay, so because I wanted to know what this god's all about because they all have different abilities. So one is like kind of the antenna, and the one is like a scientist who's basically supposed to create everybody, and he is basically they have this guy who is basically a watcher. he watches over. Nobody's basically can go walk in the streets because he sees everybody, and if he does see somebody, he's gonna basically kill them. And the way the story ended, you got the reward of understanding who the gods are, which weren't, they were aliens, but the ending was kind of like chopped, and I was like, wait a second, wait. There's more story to this, because
Yeah.
you have this priest guy who was supposed to be a priest because he's was fighting with his dad. Dad was saying, oh, you need to be practical, you need to find a job, you can't be just an artist or something like that. So just to remind his dad, he became priest, or about to become priest before this thing's happening. You have that girl who is basically kind of naive of trying to fight these unknown entities in that time for her, who she became one of them. And then you have this Welsh guy who's basically trying to fight everybody just because of the survival, and not succeeding. But also they were kind of like getting to the point, and it just like, yeah, I know who you are, we are aliens, and it basically is the story stopped. Also a bit confusing, the art started changing quite rapidly in each
Right.
pages, so like you know, like that really what's happening, because the main artist wasn't. So as you can see, complete drastic change.
Yeah,
So
very much so.
yeah, and to the coloring and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was very entertaining, but I was feeling like it needs more of it. Like I need more understanding, because it became kind of a bit vague. We started having this human who's starting to drink blood because, you know, like they start going crazy. You know, those people who thinks that because they by eating human, they will be having an extra powers, because what happened is these aliens who were pretending to be gods, because they did have extra powers, yes, they were taking some humans who were believers, and they took them and they kind of gave them the powers, but they never took to their powers, because they were just basically make them bodies completely disfigure, and nothing was good out of that. And whereas these humans who basically he was, you know, they had this group of like white pale people, looked like vampires. Basically, they had fangs and everything, and they were drinking blood, and they were trying to basically fight one of the. It's called the seed guy, because he was about everything with a living, like almost like Swan Thing. And they were basically trying to trick him to gain powers. They almost did it, but the three 10-seconders, those three guys who were trying to find the solution, they basically murderized them at the end of the day. So it's, as I say, it was a very entertaining part of it, but when the art changed, something like changed the story as well.
Yeah.
And it also changed the scientist's look to it. He was looking so much more grimacing than this guy looking, you know, this is the same scientist, but he looked like almost from like 50s, 70s dress up.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and it got me a little bit confused. So yeah, so the end of this, like, yeah, this is your moment, Malloy. This is what it means we're meant for, believe, and that's it. It finished like that. So basically, they got to the point of killing almost all aliens, and this guy who basically had problems with Jesus, due to the gods came through and started to demolish everybody, he's lost his belief also. So I was just like, okay, I got a bit confused at the end of it. I was entertaining to read, honestly.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it needs more. Is there more? Because it doesn't tell me anything afterwards.
I wonder if it was one of those things that maybe got canceled and they just rushed the ending to kind of finish it up, you know?
Yeah, maybe. But it's interesting how maybe as I say, maybe what I wasn't understanding, and there's some extras at the back of the creature creation, like all these aliens and what they were able to do and stuff like that. But yeah, so far it's not bad. And this guy is one of the other guys who was American, not British, who was trying to defeat the gods as well, and his name was Cain. Kind of biblical in some ways. So yeah, entertaining read. I'm getting into it, and my a bit of a art. It's the girl who's watching something.
Oh, hey, that's great. Yeah.
And she was absolutely
really
awesome.
good.
She was looking at one of the created aliens, and that's her face. So
cool. Yeah.
Before the scientists put her in this like almost.
Oh.
Don't worry, I'm being crazy. What's I'm doing? And this scientist was trying to put he put her in this chamber. We basically started to electrocute her like absolute mad. Oh, do you not? Can you not hear me? Oh, why can't I hear you? What? How happened? Wait, what's going on? Uh, is it good? No. Why can't I hear you? Maybe. Nope, I can't even hear now. Hey, what the hell? Oops. Oh, he's gonna go. Okay, I couldn't even hear. I don't know if you guys can even hear me. I can hear us. Oh, interesting. I always think it's me. I'm sorry, I'm being stupid. I press so many buttons. So
Hey,
what happened?
I'm
So
not sure.
I removed myself, then you went mute, apparently, because
Oh,
people were
weird.
saying they could hear me. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because you could disappeared for a second and then you came back. It was
Yeah.
like you left the room and then came back and then I couldn't hear you at all. But then they're saying they couldn't actually hear me. It's like, oh shit. So there we go.
Yeah, that's good.
Fixed.
There he is. There you see, everybody's very worried. Is you coming back or not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's
That
interesting.
was weird.
Anyway,
Very strange.
yeah. So yeah, this is I really enjoyed drawing this.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when you draw. You have always, I never do this, but you're supposed to sketch something before you try to attempt draw, because
Right.
your eye starts to get into the rhythm, and your like perspective starts to become, especially if you don't use pencils. It's
Mhm.
vital, which I don't use while I draw, but
Yep.
I really enjoy drawing her. So she was like,
Yeah, yeah.
I even captured that moment where she like completely amazed where she's at and how the scientist was basically doing that to her. It's amazing how people can be taken by something and like absolutely
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
stunned,
Yeah. Yeah. Stunned into silence. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
Damien was saying in there, I mean, not that any drawing is easy, but it feels like a profile is especially difficult getting that to look
Well,
right. You know what I mean?
the whole point of me picking the wrong angles for me just to have stay static. I picked the panels from the reading. I'm trying to make I feel really uncomfortable doing that,
Yep.
but it's a learning curve, and you'll never have. If you want to shy away, you'll never draw it properly. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I have to go, and I always try. I was like, oh no, this is the work. Why did you just pick something really easy?
Right.
Just couple of lines,
Here's a
nothing.
picture of the door from the comic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be easy. Just a window or
Yeah.
crash
Yeah.
something. Like that's easy. But as I say, I try to pick. Especially, I really enjoyed that panel generally, and
Mhm.
when it comes out well, it's rewarding. So
Yeah. Totally.
yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, your turn.
Why don't I do this one? So I found the other day just two issues of Isagi Yojimbo from Fantagraphics,
Wow,
the Fantagraphics
wow.
series, though, which I never see. I never see
Gee,
these
I
ones,
don't see them
especially.
at all.
So I got issue number 32 and issue number 33, and I
Nice,
read
nice, nice.
33 because it seemed to be this 32 was a continuation of a storyline. This one was a standalone issue, and
Nice.
I was surprised to see in the inside from a plot by Sergio Aragones.
Oh,
So a one-off that apparently he wanted to use for Gru,
uh-huh,
but it just didn't fit.
uh-huh.
So I guess him and Stan Sakai would hang out often, because Stan was he lettering Gru at the time? Is that what he was doing for a while? So they
Mm-hmm.
would hang out like once a week, sometimes
Yeah.
for hours and hours. And on one of the drives over,
Mm-hmm.
Sergio came up with this story that he then said you should use it for Usagi. He ended up changing it quite a bit, but used the basic premise of it. And the basic premise is that Usagi comes to this town that's almost like a ghost town, and
Uh-huh.
they're on the full moon and they're terrified. Everybody is kind of
Yeah,
closed
inside.
off in their houses, in their cabins and bars and things like that, because there's this ghost that appears every full moon for the couple of nights
You see, he's
and
still
kind of
doing it.
haunts the town. It's Sorry, say that again, Rasa.
The sleep reader saying that he still letters.
Still letters. Okay, still letters grew. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, So it's this spirit that's kind of haunting them. He had tried to commit seppuku, but it got interrupted by their enemies, and their enemies kind of tormented him and then killed him. So because he's died an unworthy death, he
Yes.
still comes back to haunt it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now taken, Usagi now takes it on himself that I'm going to help you. I'm going to need some help from you, but I'll be here tomorrow and I'll take care of this for you. And it's a fantastic story, because part of what happened was it was a death without honor. He was
Mm-hmm.
killed by people that he didn't know their history, their lineage. So Usagi has a history and a family lineage with
Mm-hmm.
this spirit's ancestors and people that he was kind of fighting alongside. So then he was able to kind of come in and help him in his final moments, help the spirit to kind of put him at rest. So such a good story, so well drawn, so well told, as we talk about and everybody else talks about. It was
Yeah.
just so great to find these issues. I really want to find more of the Fantagraphics single issues, because I
If
think
you're
it only
lucky.
went like 35 or 36 issues or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
because he's keep on changing
his publisher and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, did you hear about IDW?
No, yeah, that they're laying off a bunch of people or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't hear much more than that, but yeah, I did hear that piece.
Well,
So they're
that's
having some hard times, obviously.
yeah. And we were thinking that the Dark Horse is the one who is basically in trouble, but it seems to be IDW now who's in trouble
Seems
more
like
than
seems like
anything.
all of them, honestly. Seems like they're all struggling, to some
Mm.
degree.
I
Yeah.
mean, come on, it's very expensive comics these days, and it's
Hmm.
really difficult, like to keep following it monthly. I mean, you have to have like separate, like you have to be really in the goods to have the separate expense just to have a comic books every month these
Yep.
times. I mean, I'm completely on a budget, and I'm okay with that. So,
Hmm.
but I'm still missing. Like last week we were talking about those like single issues, and it was really cool. You read
Hmm.
and it feels like, oh yeah, next month's coming. Like I want now, like really rapid. I want again that kind of stuff. So
Yep. I was thinking about it. It wasn't comics related, but it
yeah,
kind of ties in with the whole thing. I was thinking about it. I don't remember what I was watching, but I was
uh,
thinking about like movies and how that form of entertainment and storytelling. Oh yeah, I was watching Ari Aster, this director. He was in the Criterion Closet and kind of talking about movies that influenced him. And I was just thinking about like how it's strange to think of even comics the same thing, of like that this type of storytelling. There's nothing to say that it's going to exist forever. Like movies, they've only been making movies for just over 100 years, right? Out of like the history of storytelling, it's kind of bizarre to think that any one form of this storytelling is just going to last. Not that I'm saying comics are dying and etc., nothing that dramatic, but it's just this idea of like these shifts and these ebbs and flows, right? Where maybe it is something that's just tapering off, not necessarily dying, but tapering off. These companies can't exist in this kind of world anymore. People just aren't buying it in the masses that they were at one point, right? So
mhm.
they just can't exist
Yeah, we'll see.
to
But
the degree anyway. Like they can still exist, not to like doom and gloom it, because it's still
yeah,
going to exist. It ain't going anywhere quick, but
no,
it
no,
does feel like there's a slowing down, that's
yeah.
maybe necessary.
For me, it was just oh, turtles, no.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Because as I say, this is like one thing I never want to. I never even thought about canceling turtles. So that's how much I enjoy
Hmm.
having them monthly, and even come out this past week, and I didn't get it yet because of I was thinking about that free comic book day. Maybe I'll receive them in one chunk, so I don't have to pay too much for postage. That's the
Yep.
reason. Another one why I don't tend to get it as often. So one of well, it's quite a few things in one. I had this feeling of I wanted to read. Um, compared to past. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking the same
Yeah,
thing. So.
absolutely.
Anyway, so I've been really. I wanted to. I've been having a feeling of I need to have some of Hellblazer in my life, and I
Hey.
and I have, of course, not have. I haven't all read it all.
Yep.
Oh my god, my speech is going numb. Um, And so there's this one-off issue, and then there's continuation of a story which I have not finished, which I can share afterwards. This one-off issue is kind of entertaining. So it's a issue 76, and it's of course written by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon on art. And it's a story about it's called Confessions of the Irish Rebel. And it's a story. It's the first page is saying all this. British Airlines basically screwing over people, and of course it's him. Constantine is complaining almost to the point where basically he was flying from America back to England, but because of a shithole plane, according to the pilot, they had to scrap they planned to land in England. So instead of they're gonna land in Dublin, and that's how Constantine appears in Dublin while he's strolling away. And it's not so bad, for Constantine to just land in Dublin, because you can have a pint and stuff and just have a good drink, which is also entertaining and stuff. And to his surprise, this family of two, father and son, sitting in a pub. Daddy has a pint, and he's extremely proud of his son, who's drinking Coca-Cola, not a beer, thankfully, but the way he's drinking the beer or the Coca-Cola, that Daddy is so proud of him. Like, oh, go on, son, do it. Like like I would be drinking a beer, and that's it basically says in there. So it's like those times where your kid, you can actually basically not be afraid to having a child. In the pub, and he's just basically contemplating and everything, and one thing what leads to another one. This guy strolls into the pub, and he's like saying, "Wow, bloody Brendan," and he's having this conversation, and they pub crawling now. So he's basically reminiscing of his old times, how everything it used to be, how good there was. We had this gang of members of apparently Constantine was part of, and all of them had this idea of like taking over the world, and everybody's going to be happy about it. And to my surprise, because his code changes halfway through, which I was like, something is wrong. I mean, am I not understanding? So because they were reminiscing, okay, due to that reminiscing, this is the past, but they of course didn't show that in the comic book. So you basically, after reading the whole story, you're realizing that this is just a memory first, and then afterwards they still having a conversation. And everything went well. It's having this Irish luck story about the fights they had been into, drinking, nonsense they were dealing with, like, of course, nothing legal, in that time. And he's like saying, like everybody, like some of them did, some of them he's not happy about that. And they keep on going to the pubs and keep on having a drink, pub crawl, blah, blah, blah. Until you realize, right, or after memories and all understandings, that realize that actually the person, or like, this is the memories, this is the best part. Like you always have in Constantine. So they got really bad trouble. So the guy who we employed, they tried to screw over. So he takes one of the mates, hangs him up from the chandelier. He's there. Oh my God, please help me. And everybody just trying, and he has his shotgun into his sack. And saying, okay, this is it. Like you guys, you can't, treat me like a shithole. This is it. Are you not going to say something? I'm going to shoot. And what he does, he shoots. What he shoots, there's the panel. And the guy, poor guy, and we like all shocked him. Like the proper Constantine situation where they basically shocked, and the guy's still talking. Something is really bad happens, and what you understand that he basically still not really understanding what happened to him, and then he dies seconds later.
Crazy.
And it's just so cruel. But and also, okay, that's so the surprise part. While this pub crawl, and I was like, okay, so it's just two guys having a conversation. The guy he's talking to have pub crawling, going to the pub, having this talk conversation. By the bridge, you understand that he's dead. Constantine is basically having a talk with ghosts while he's pub crawling in Dublin. So one of his mates, another one of his mates is dead, and he's just having this conversation with him, like random conversation. And the coppers basically wakes him up, and because he's by the bridge, still haven't had the conversation, wakes him up saying, "Dude, you're not supposed to be here, and giving your, like whatever English smell out of in here in Ireland, kind of thing, just fuck off, basically. And then you realize that and he says to him like, cheers, mate, kind of thing, to you now. And he's basically shipped away he takes the boat instead of going back home.
Yeah.
So it's really cool,
like that's great.
Little conversation. And
yep.
This says quite a lot, okay? So
it does.
Spoiler alert.
Story. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I didn't, like when you read it, you just kind of like shrug that away.
Yep.
And you think, all it's good. But it's beauty, like it basically it's what Gaffin really does really well in this kind of writing is that casual conversation, but things happen, like or whatever, the Constantine has never been a good thing, but fantastic. And I just like, it's always good to see this kind of stuff. And Steve Dillon has this run with Garth Ennis, which I'm trying to read. It's about 78 to 84, I think, which I have just grasped 2 issues. Is another thing in Ireland once again, and it's nice to see Steve Dillon in the Constantine, to be honest. But all this like scenes you see, it's reminded me of Preacher, and why I like Steve Dillon's art so much, even though the facial expressions are always the same kind of face to all of them.
Sure, yeah.
But he is so good at expressions. He's so good at situational like panels, like really good panel work. And I mean, I don't know why some people were not big fans of Steve Dillon, but I think he's amazing in what he was in. Yes, the one flaw he had, you couldn't establish different type of the facial,
Right.
But in every other criteria, he was better than anybody else, like he had the ups and stuff.
Sure, but I mean, also that style fits that genre, right? Like it fits that type of storytelling, I think, like when I think of that time period, like I think of a certain style of art, and he fits in that mold of that's the style of art that I think of with the Vertigo titles, especially, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I absolutely, you go back to them, and you have, of course, Glenn Fabry's covers, which are absolutely spot on. The
awesome,
painted covers. They absolutely it just stands out so much. But it's just like Vertigo. It's just like when you want something like what you like kind of thing. And I always have the Hellblazer. I never always finish it. I never went from the beginning to the end straight away. So it's nice to read in chunks, Constantine, for me, because it's really dark. It's absolutely like always bad, not good. Like it's always there. So while you're just consuming that, it's like a brainwave starts like, it's like I need to shake it off. I need something happy. So that's why I consume Constantine, Hellblazer in slow. And I think it would have been great to read them in monthlies.
Absolutely,
I would be like, no wonder people were so excited about it, because you never know what you're going to get. And especially those writers, they were doing this runs. Absolutely fantastic.
It was one that Travis, Oddfellow's Thoughts, was always so excited about getting, and when it came to an end, he was right there, and like, not traumatized is too strong, but like you could see that it was like, oh my God, I'm losing
the end of the era for him, because he said he started it from the beginning right to the end. So like I say, like it's what, 300 something issues odd.
Oh geez,
yeah. So it's about when it was ending, or did it end in 400s? I don't know, but something like really, really close to that number. Yeah. That's a lot of time to invest.
A lot of time, man. Yeah, that's a lot of time. That's half of your life. You're with a character. Honestly, like if you've been reading since the beginning, that's half of your damn life.
It's like you're reading your mate's whatever stories, whatever he's been up to. So yeah. Anyway, it's still amazing. So
yeah.
And I'll show you some where I drew, but there's another story I was reading.
Okay, sure.
I'll tell after.
Okay. One really, really quick one, because it's only the first issue again, something that I found in the bins the other day. Just issue 1 of this Bebop and Rocksteady Hit the Road.
Look at you, Turtle fan.
I know, it's crazy. This was a couple of bucks. I think this was $3 to get, but the cover really intrigued me. The interior art I thought looked pretty cool too. So I don't know much about the characters. It's just a fun book. He only had the one issue, so I couldn't pick up any other ones. I think it's going to be pretty fun. I won't talk about it too much other than, yeah, it's just cool. And then this is, what the heck is his name that did the cover here? Nick Patera. So from Manhattan Project Manhattan Files,
Yes.
whatever the hell that
Yeah.
book was. So he did a series. He did a cover for each of the 5 issues, and they all connect. So
Oh, is
again,
it?
I'm a kind of a sucker for his art as well too. So I'm going to try to find the rest of the issues that he did so I can get that connecting cover because I'm a fucking nerd. That's why. Um, but the one I wanted to talk about was this Grunts from
Oh.
Image, which is kind of like an anthology from the Mirage Studios, and Eastman and Laird and some other people, including Mark Baudet, Vaughn Baudet's son. This was super cool. This was first one, Kevin Eastman and Brian Talbot, right? Brian is his first name, and then
Yes.
Steve Levine, I think. So they're all war stories, and it's so good. They were they were really fun. This first one, just some again like that '80s gritty art. This one was just such a good story of this kind of these two alien races fighting each other, but you still get some awesome Turtles-esque kind of double pages like this too, right? So individually, not much to say about the stories. Obviously, they're all kind of very, very anti-war and stuff. There wasn't one particular story that I thought dealt with the subject like mind-blowing or anything, but they were just really good. Jim Lawson up next doing a story that could almost, almost kind of fits in with that Usagi Yojimbo, this kind of ghostly other world as he's dealing with people that he lost in the war, like people like friends of his in his kind of platoon or whatever who had died. He had survived, and the kind of like looking back on his life and his friends. What else kind of stood out a little bit? I'll just show you some art. This one was maybe one of the more disappointing ones, even though I kind of like the style. I think the creator's name is Bella. It's called The Horror. I didn't really think the story was too much, kind of the most disappointing story wise, but I love the art style, this pixelated, heavily pixelated kind of look. He's appeared in Turtle Soup as well too, doing like I think just a one pager or just a couple of pages anyway. But that kind of stood out style wise. Peter Laird, inks by Ryan Brown. This is The Lesson. So what are they called? The Triceratons? Is that what they're called?
Yes. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
So a kind of history, how this one sergeant, how I lost my horn. Have I ever told you fellas the story of my lost horn? And it's a cool little tale. Like it feels like this kind of grizzled old dude kind of sharing this story of being in hand-to-hand combat, and you get some really great pages here too.
Oh, wow.
And again, you can see how influenced he was by Kirby. Like I get that sense anyway. Not that I'm an expert, but there's a couple of pages here of this one-on-one fight scene that I thought was just so amazing. Looked really cool, and you can see he does well at capturing those moments, right, of kind of this hand-to-hand combat till finally it ends with them charging each other, or him being charged and his horn sticking into the guy and breaking off. And finally, with these last kind of 3 amazingly used panels, again, like this kind of last moment breaking up one of the panels into these 3 strips. So effective. So, and then you find out that this sergeant, he saved his horn, and he made this knife handle out of it just as a reminder about his past and this kind of the torment of war and stuff. Such a cool story. So I guess there was one standout, because even talking about it again, an absolute standout. You get a little bit of Steve Bissette in here, with a story that wasn't too bad either. The bells tolling in their town and what that signifies and stuff. So, and how it drives this one guy a little mental. So a cool book. And again, the one thing that I'm just continually impressed with these comics that Mirage was putting out is they were thick, and the cover price was only $2 US in 1987. It seems like goddamn good deal for your money. There's another Eric Talbot, I guess. maybe it is
Uh-huh.
Brian Eric Talbot. I don't know. Anyway, this was a particularly cool style as well, too. Real kind of messy. It took me a moment to kind of figure out even what the hell that first image was. But a nice kind of scratchy, gritty 80s style there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Grunts. Again, totally recommend it if you see it. I don't know how easy or difficult it is, but if you see it, it's totally worth it, man.
Yeah.
For a thick book.
And the horn stuff and Triceratops are quite mentioned in the turtle lore because of them saying that the strength comes from the horn. So when
Okay.
females were taking over, so females had this like metal, even like almost to the point of, like just to kill people. So they put metal things, and the girl who's in charge now was supposedly the last of them left of a tribe. She has kept that of the mother. So when she was in the scenes in one of the comic books, she put that metal one saying, "This is my turn to go over and take over,"
Oh,
and blah blah
that's
blah.
super cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I had no idea. That's
No,
awesome.
yeah. So this is a significant part of that kind of
Yeah.
thing, of the lore and history of the Triceratops.
Right. Oh man, that makes it even better.
Yeah.
Shit.
You
And
see?
that's
You
the thing,
see?
like it's so exciting that I know that I'm in for all of this stuff,
Yeah.
that because I'm
Well,
so
there's.
late to reading all these. That's super cool.
I honestly would recommend. I mean, while before maybe when you finish all the original run,
Yep.
and if you want to delve deeper in the newer run, if you can, of course they're going out of print at the moment.
Yep.
But if you want to really like delve into the Teenage Mutant run, is that collected editions for IW? They look
Yeah.
absolutely bloody fantastic. They're like what 1920 maybe now editions
Yep.
of them, but it has everything. So all your that thing you just picked up with Bebop and Rocksteady,
Yep.
it would be in there because they
Okay.
come chronologically put them in order because there's so many of them coming out, and
Oh.
those editions are. I even want to get it because I always say like, man, but I have original run. I want to continue in that one and blah blah blah.
Yep.
So I don't know if I will ever do it, but apparently they're going out to print now because of popularity and they don't reprint them as often.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to just get that maybe, and then
Yeah, no, it's not a bad idea, and it's kind of what I've been thinking that I'll probably get to.
Another
Once I
thing
reach a
is,
certain point, I'll probably get the collected stuff.
yeah, and another thing is, if you don't want to go into like deep pockets, let's say if it's very expensive, the hardcovers they've been reprinting them in not floppy, but in a graphic novel, like
Oh, right. Yeah. Soft
not
cover
hardcover.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soft cover exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the word, soft cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want, they doing that. I've seen in bookshops. It
Oh,
has
okay.
this actually the same spine. It's just not
Mm-hmm.
hardcover, and it looks okay. I mean, the spine is as what your softcover can have.
Uh-huh.
Of course, in hardcover it's even more, because it has even the what do you call it? This thing as well.
Oh, right, to the little bookmark thing. Yeah.
Bookmark. Yeah. Oh my god, my words are escaping my brain. Maybe it's just Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's too much gin and
Too
tonic.
much gin. I was just gonna say maybe.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Anyway, so another one of story in issue 77,
Mm-hmm.
we have a football fans, which you find out one part of them is Chad. So he's kind of a go-to taxi driver slash friend slash whatever John Constantine is asking. He's basically having a football time with his friends and goes after the game and go to the pub, and always everybody's giving him hard time. Oh, come on, Chad, tell us a story about Constantine. Well, come on, what's happened with John? Like blah, blah, Constantine, and everybody's like, oh, come on, like I don't really care. He goes to go to the loo, even they hassle him in the loo. And come on, tell us a story. I really want to know what he's been up to. So okay, go on. I'll tell you the story. So he's telling them the story where, of course, John goes into the house where something is really bad happening. He needs to investigate, making sure everything is okay and dandy. And of course, where we find out there's this room. We don't show what's inside, which is really like, woo, it's kind of interesting, intriguing. But in the room, apparently, there's two dead people, ghosts, and is an old man. Um, uh, mutilating, not mutilating, like even kind of raping the girl, and they never pass by. So they are basically haunting this place. And the guy who is basically trying to help is kind of like out of it because he's keep on every time he opens that door, he always sees them and they never disappears. So kind of haunting. And Constantine goes in there basically, I'm gonna come and help you, but he's like petrified. He's like, I don't know what to do. So of course Chad goes in there. It's like, what do you want me to do? So go collect me a couple of items. He goes collects a couple of items, and he's keep on telling to this guy who's supposed to help, look, when I'm gonna tell you, blow those candles. Please blow those candles, otherwise they will escape and things gonna go so bad nobody will know what will happen. And then while Chad is talking to the guys in the pub, it's like saying, sir, seriously, so what's happened? So you're telling us like, so it's just like he's basically trying to shush his friends, like, just let me tell you the story of what I know. And then he's telling, so while this happens, and he said to him, blow their candles up, and he doesn't do it on time, and Constantine disappears into that void, and nobody knows what's happened to him. And his story ends, and his friends like, what? This is it? Is this the story? And we jump into a church where his friends, or supposed friends, comes and mourns John Constantine because he's apparently dead. He disappeared in that void, and nothing happened. In that, nobody knows what happened to him. Did he went to hell? What happened? Is he dead? But they decided to get the ceremony, and the priest is like, come on, people, don't be douchebags. You came here to mourn Constantine. And it's like a crowd of, not your average crowd, what John Constantine knows. And even the priest loses it. He's like, screw this. It's like, I can't do this, let's just, because you want to basically give him like what priest wants to do, just give him like good words about to remember the person.
Yeah.
And to our shock and disbelief, John just appears having a smoke. It's like, well, at least somebody appeared in my funeral. And then everybody's like, and Chad was like shocked. He's like, what the fuck? What's going on here, man? And then they end up being in the pub again, and John Constantine is there, and he's like really pissed. Chad's like, don't talk to me. I don't want to know anything about you. You like disappeared. You didn't say anything about it. And he's just like, sorry, mate. I didn't tell you anything what happened to me. And guess what? Did the comic tells you what happened to him in there? Nope.
No.
It ends. And you're like, bloody bastards. So apparently, this next story, if I presume it well, this is just the way they just walk away again.
Yep.
He's like kind of friends again. But apparently the story I will be reading now should be kind of telling us exactly what's happening, because
okay.
Apparently, like always, Death or whatever, the guy is trying to get Constantine to where he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Into hell, and there you go. He's after him. He's gonna catch him. Everything is gonna go bad and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of like looking the way to find how to do it. And apparently, in previous issues, which I have not read, which I could just go back and read it, which I probably will do. Apparently, Constantine is to the point where he's homeless, and he doesn't know what's happening kind of around him. He's kind of lost it, kind of like
crazy,
really proper and not there.
Right.
Anyway, for Steve Dillon part, I went to drew his a couple of, so Chad and him having kind of like conversation.
Sweet. Yeah.
So that's his. Not bad. I think I did capture
awesome.
Steve
Yeah,
Dillon
no, it's great.
quite a bit.
Again, profiles. So, hey, you're going full on.
Yeah, so that's it. Learn bad way or good way.
Right.
But it's just makes it more interesting, to look at him and what you have done. So, yeah. So it's as entertaining as always, and it's quite annoying when it comes to writing because it doesn't really give you all options. Like what's happening. It gives that mystery part. But another thing I wanted to mention. Apparently, Hellblazer comic book was announced in the Sting interview.
In a which interview?
Sting, the musician.
I
Sting.
do, yes. Yeah.
So apparently he had an interview and he mentioned Hellblazer.
Oh, yeah.
In that time. So some people decided to check it out, the comic, because of Sting's mention.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of like, it's interesting. So it's the back pages always give you some some insight on stuff. So I was like, what? Really? That was who mentioned the thing?
Yeah,
So yeah,
sort of makes sense in some strange way, right? Like considering, his appearance in
yeah,
Dune and stuff like the David Lynch's
yeah.
Dune and things. It somehow makes perfect sense that he would be the guy to
Mm,
mention a book like
yeah.
that. Yeah, I
Well,
added it
maybe
to my list of stuff to look at from the library. I'm sure they've got all of the collections at the library because hearing those, I want to just
just
pick up any volume and just check it out.
just check Garfan and Steve Dillon stuff.
Yeah,
It's in that same era.
yeah.
And if you want this particular one, is I really struggle to pronounce that name. I don't even know how to pronounce. It's Peter Sneyberg.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Sneyberg,
yeah.
maybe.
Maybe.
So he's the artist of this one shot as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I just telling the story about what happens to or issue number 77 if you can
Yeah.
get hold of that.
Cover.
And this one is also is entertaining. That 76.
Yeah.
So this is the issue where also one shot, so you can just read it without needing to read the
Mhm.
whole chunk. So, which is great actually. Sometimes you just have to, like just have some. Oh, what I did, how I found out about it. I went online and it was just like interesting Hellblazer stories. Whatever stands out, and because I saw Steve Dillon, and I kind of like, because I'm kind of craving Preacher and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I know I haven't really read Hellblazer as often as I did because I always like Constantine anyway, generally.
Mhm.
So I was just like, okay, that's exactly. And I know I have the whole run, so of course I will know which issues they're collecting. So picked it up and made.
Right.
So now I'm reading those.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which I absolutely loved it. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's always vertical, and it has those. What's really annoying as well. It has those advertisements, which is
I
in
love
a
those
way,
ads. Yep.
yeah. And this is the ads I actually absolutely love. Well, now I can't find any of it. Oh, yeah, like this one,
Oh,
Book of Magic, and it looks
Yeah.
absolutely stunning.
Yep.
And Peter Gross is in there. And then John Reba, I never heard, and Gary Amaro. But I just, this kind of, I don't have that. I've never
Yeah.
even seen on the Vertigo line that. And also, all Hellblazer was advertising Shay the Changing Man.
Of course, yeah. An absolute classic, man.
Yeah. So yeah, like in that times. And then the story I'm reading now is the Rake of at the Gates of the Hell.
Oh, okay.
So where, as I said, now I haven't finished it, so I'm not going to really speak about it. But it's this guy who's after. Where is he? Is he appearing in this issue? Wait, maybe not one. Oh yeah, this guy. He's after. This is the guy. This is Death who's after, and this Astra girl. She's really kind of poor, like a card, like advantage card for him because she's also pissed off at Constantine. I mean, how many people is not pissed off at Constantine? That would be a better count. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very entertaining. Absolutely fantastic Hellblazer stuff.
Have you read any of the, speaking of that ad, have you read any of the Shade, the Changing Man stuff, the Milligan stuff?
I have, but I have not finished it.
Okay,
either.
yeah.
I have, how many? It's quite a long run, isn't it?
It's a fairly long run. I don't know off the top of my head, but
I have quite a few of them as well. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah, I always I remember up to issue maybe 10.
Okay.
And then I got distracted by something else.
Yeah, and it picks up because I was gonna just say, like, the early issues, like, I enjoy them, but I don't know how they've aged. I feel like it's one of those series that really picked up after it kind of got started, that they just get better as it goes on. So yeah.
I really liked enjoyed it as well because I remember how crazy and wacky it is and all that. Like who's the artist in there? I forgot the artist, but he was really those nice colors.
Yeah, Brendan McCarthy does a lot of covers early on, but I don't remember who does the interiors off the top of my head. But,
yeah. Or Bacalo.
Yeah, right.
Bacalo, whatever you want to pronounce.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was the first couple of issues for sure. I remember. So I enjoyed his art. But anyway, this face here by Steve Dillon, I'll never forget because of Preacher. Because he has one of the characters and almost the same look.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of like feels like nice.
Yeah, totally.
So as I say, I love Preacher so much. Do you have anything else to mention?
One more.
Okay, cool.
So I went to Galaxy Comics recently.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 books for Lily, and so that's where I got this
Pee pee poo poo.
Caroline Cash comic before. I guess it did well enough for them that they got in another one.
Wow.
And this one came out from it's issue number 420 because it came out.
Jesus.
It came out just recently, so 2023. So it's first printing April 2023. So I'm so glad, and I said it to him again. I said, I'm so glad you're getting in this Silver Sprocket stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you get in more, just put a copy of whatever it is straight into my pull
really?
box there.
Wow.
I don't know. He was saying he doesn't know how much he's gonna get. And he's like, yeah, I'll absolutely keep it in mind. But again, like I think I'm probably the one of like 2 people that would ever buy this kind of thing, right? So I don't know how what a great idea it is for him to get stuff in that he might just end up sitting on. But this was just as good as the first anthology from her. I would say I kind of like the other one a little bit better just because of some of the stories. They seem to kind of run the gamut a little more. This one was kind of focused. They were mostly funny. What I was super impressed with, though, is there's a number of, I mean, even just looking at these first few pages. So, I mean, starting off with the color palette like this one for our intro story, and then ending, kind of moving quickly to color palettes like this. It feels like there's a couple of different paper stocks in here as well, too. So she's truly like experimenting with all sorts of things, even though her style is the same throughout it. She doesn't go through very dramatic stylistic changes, but then we get to stuff that looks like this. This one is kind of even as she says on the front, she's like, what? It's my 8-ball look. This is really like a Dan Clowes kind of homage. Because I mean, even that first panel, like that pose is very Dan Clowes, right? So super good. Her stuff is really great. I really like her style quite a bit. So and I mean, I'm so glad, I was so glad that they got something else in. I was shocked, just as I was with the first one that came in, just as shocked this time to see it sitting on the new release shelf. He's got a whole 1.5 racks that are all independent to new releases and stuff. So seeing this one sitting prominently was great. And I mean, it really stands out as well because it's like magazine size. So out of the 2, though, I would suggest going for the first one. Yeah, the Stroll story in April. Yeah, there was a lot of similarities. Hello, by the way. There's a lot of similarities for sure. But if you're faced with the choice of picking up one of each of these, I'd say this one, if you can only afford one, this is the one to grab. This one worked a lot more for me, but this one was still super enjoyable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Pee pee poo poo. Yes, that's
pee pee poo poo. Yeah, exactly. Very, very mature stuff, but I absolutely love it.
So, Silver Sprocket, where are they located at? In
Sorry,
America? Silver Sprocket, where they are located? In America?
That's right, Silver Sprocket, yeah.
Yeah, America based?
Correct, yes. I think they are they San Francisco? Let's see. Yeah, they're based out of San Francisco. Silversprocket.net is their website.
There's a YouTuber who I follow. She's doing a lot of art. She's Canadian. She has published a book by Silver Sprocket as well.
Oh, really? What's her name?
Joy San. So JOY.
Yep.
SAN. Is that
okay?
Maybe? So she has some crazy looking art as well. So it definitely works for Silver Sprocket wise.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I've never heard you talk about her channel before, or at least I don't remember you talking about it.
I mentioned maybe once or twice, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Cool, I'll check it out. So looking for some new stuff to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, and she just like she usually does videos of her just basically working on something what she wants to create and her creative processes. Sometimes it's long videos, like of her because she doesn't have time on doing that. It's her hobby, something what she likes to do. Yep. But she has this art style, which is actually quite interesting, the way she's trying to portray stuff. And it looks really good. It's kind of like she uses pencils or mixed media and stuff like that. But she likes horror. so she's a
Uh-huh.
big fan of horror. So
Yeah.
you can see sometimes it's kind of like gets into her art style, I guess.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
So,
check it out for sure.
so yeah, she got it like she was really happy when she got published by Silver Sprocket. It was a
Hmm.
nice achievement, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like a pretty good company for some of this stuff, right? Like,
Yeah,
seem to have a pretty specific focus. It's cool. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so yeah, that I have read a Doom Patrol issue, new one,
Oh,
because I was
like a
curious.
Vertigo
That's it.
era Doom Patrol or early Doom Patrol.
No, new Doom
Oh,
Patrol.
new stuff.
DC.
Okay. Yeah.
DC. I just wanted to have a look, so I'll just show you. Not much
Yep.
to say. It's I'm kind of confused. I don't understand what's happening really. It's a new DC. There's this event happening in DC. I don't
Hmm.
know even what is it. So the Burnham is the artist. The Culver is the I don't know. They don't. Okay, wait. Yeah, Dennis Culver is the writer. Chris Burnham is artist. So Burnham, from
Yeah, absolutely.
the
I was gonna say I thought that was a Burnham cover. Yeah.
yeah. So this is
Well, that
let me.
that automatically makes it a little more appealing.
There you go. That's the first page. Sorry for
Cool.
my
Yeah.
thumb. And they basically end up. Oh, God forbid we in Gotham. I don't want to
Right.
be in this place. We have to just go. We have to pick up somebody. And apparently, there's a lot of metahumans appearing because of this event happening in DC.
Okay.
If I'm correct, I'm not. I don't know anything about new stuff from DC, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to see. And they come into this Gotham, and there's this scene, and it's like we don't want to make a scene, and this happens right in front of them. And it's apparently that the person they're trying to get hold of, and then there's other storyline going on with this monkey and the general, and I don't know exactly what's happening in like the first issue you're reading,
Yeah.
but it's entertaining. It's like you may get involved. What I really didn't really enjoy, to be quite honest with you, because it's Gotham, is the appearance of
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
like, but there's new appearance of this Beast Girl, so I guess
Oh yeah.
everybody will be saying, oh, this is the first appearance, you better have this in your. But I was just curious because I like Doom Patrol. It's very obscure.
Hmm. Well, it's nice to also dip into some of the new stuff every now and again just to check it out.
Yeah, I know. I like Doom Patrol. I
Yeah.
like the obscurity of the team and generally. I like him a lot. Of course, the voice actor, which I blank the name of, in this TV series.
Brendan Fraser.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's really good in
he's
the
really
show.
good
I was
at good
surprised.
voice. Yeah, he's really good voice. And then he appears in here as well, which is
Oh yeah.
funny. I watch TV series.
Orion or whatever. Oh, Peacemaker. Yeah, yeah,
Peacemaker,
yeah.
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 So he's there. Apparently, he's gonna be he's like a pawn in or into the things. But I honestly, as entertaining as it is, I am a bit. As I say, I was a bit confused. I don't know. Yes, apparently saying she's the new chief. She's not big. The bad one was asking her name, and she said,
Mm.
"No, I'm just a new chief." I don't know. That means she has these powers. She's almost like she can fight really well as well in the scenes in here.
Hmm.
I don't know nothing about her. She's a new character to me as well. So I don't know. Apart of, let me show you that first page because they introduce you all characters. So you have Elasti Woman.
Uh-huh.
Wait, I'm working. So Elasti Woman, I know. Negativity Man and Robot Man, I know all of them from the original run.
Hmm.
But the chief and this new Beast Girl, and it says like introducing a Beast Girl. So
Right.
of course, like in your face, first appearance.
Right.
But yeah, Burnham has quite a good art style. I mean, he's done everything. He done
Yeah.
Spider-Man. He does a lot of stuff. So he has.
Yeah, he's
and
great, man.
Yeah, and he has that background. It's not going to be just plain simple color. It's going to be motion, which is Doom Patrol needs because of the characters who they are. So I don't mind it. But I'm definitely going to wait to collect. This panel was my favorite, where Elastigirl started taking over in somebody's brain.
Hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take over." And she's like, just one eye looking at him, and the eye is saying, "Oh, we are going inside your memory now."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, that's like crazy." Is that somehow coming? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. There's what I'm saying. That event is part of consequences, and that's why Doom Patrol is going to be there to solve the problems. That's how I guess they're going to create new storylines to create. But it's nice to see Doom Patrol on that, like being as a new comic book, because they all but they still have to insert that bloody Batman. I like Batman, but it's too much Batman. Come on, people. But that's what sells, I guess.
Well, and again, it's the thing that we've talked to all of us about for years, that the events just kind of like, oh man, suck the fucking energy out of you. Do what you want. It's your company. Do whatever you want. I'm not telling you otherwise, but it's just, a bunch of us have kind of moved away because of some of those reasons. And that being one of them, of like, I just can't events. I can't buy 15 titles a month. Like, I just can't fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you would do. I think it would be okay, to be honest. I would probably maybe buy into it, but have one big volume of invent saying this is what's gonna change. This is, you need to read this before we introduce all the new titles, and I probably would be okay with that, because then I reading collected events books as a collected edition is actually fine. It's actually readable. It's really good. Some of them are really fantastic, to be honest. But yeah, Batman.
Yeah, we've liked some of them in the past as well too. But it's hard to keep up. And then absolutely, Batman is just so overused. Like, it's just fuck me, man. How many fucking Batman titles do you need?
Yeah, I don't know what's that Lazarus event all about. I've seen some of the covers. They look actually quite interesting, intriguing, to be honest.
Well, because it's Ra's al Ghul ultimately, right? And that's just an appealing, interesting character. But not interesting enough to dig into it, though.
Yeah, exactly. His Batman looks nonchalant. It's just
really.
there. Like, you can see in his panels of Batman, looks just like he didn't do anything to the Batman whatsoever. Like, really made it plain and simple, like your classic Batman. There's nothing like, and even Robin looks just there. But the funny thing is, Robin was basically shushing Batman in this one. It's like, Batman, just let go, kind of thing. You can deal with that, because they basically were fighting for that metahuman, all of them in that story in here. This guy, who is basically got turned into being this crazy being, and then they basically saying, Doom Patrol, come to us, because we know how to deal with you, because we are part of that crew. And Batman, no, I have, and he starts like, so, oh, you have Justice League, we have where to put them. And he's like, yes, but you have that's like Atlanteans, you have the superheroes, blah, 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 but you don't have metahumans in your part of the group. So let us take over. And basically end up not listening to you, but you kind of thing, and we're just taking over. But that's what Doom Patrol is all about. They don't really care. They're just going to deal with the situation, they're going to take it, and then just...
Yeah. Ultimately, they just want to get the hell out of there. So
exactly.
We got to rectify it so we can go home.
And there's issue 2 came out just recently, apparently. So we were lucky enough to read that. But the Peacemaker is kind of intriguing for me, because I liked series to honestly, Cena was whatever of him, the actor skills, but that role is perfect.
Yeah, I heard so many good things about it. I just haven't watched it yet.
That really crazy looking dance they were doing, it works. It just works so well. The
original Lazarus ID came out of the recent Robin series. Oh, okay,
that makes more. There's potential for great group. I didn't follow either. That's the thing. But it's everywhere. Like, I've seen. I remember looking through the list of things. Sometimes I go to that website where tell what's coming out this week. Because I actually like seeing the pictures of the comic book. Because
same.
Just the name won't tell me much, so I just go to see, and I looked for DC, and then there was Lazarus everywhere. So what, he killed and plunked everybody inside the Lazarus pit? Is that what it is? I'm joking, but
it's one of the most, like, one of the reasons I love going to Galaxy is talking to the owner, Jeremy. He's a super nice guy, but honestly, like, I love just looking at, even though I never
Mm,
buy any of them, I love
mhm,
looking at all the Marvel covers and the DC. I look at them
mm.
all the time. I
Me
never buy
too.
any of them,
I'm a
but I always
huge.
like just to
I was
see
like,
what's
"Whoa,
going
this is
on
nice
and
cover."
look at the
And the
cool covers. Yeah, the one that jumped out at me recently, it's on issue 2 now. It's Clobbering Time, The Thing. It's a
oh,
Thing book. And
uh-huh,
honestly, that one I have flipped through each of the issues.
yeah,
The interior art is just as intriguing as the cover art. Like it looks genuinely interesting. I haven't bought it yet, but I really dig some of the art in what I've been seeing. I'm waiting to see what people say about it. I don't know if
yeah.
anybody in the chat here is reading it, but they talked about it on Jared Osborne's show recently too. Or
Uh-huh.
maybe I mentioned it in the chat. I don't remember, but it's one that's intrigued me when I go. But honestly, going to Galaxy, one of the things I love doing is flipping through those covers, man, and just looking at what's out there.
The thing is, I that's why I miss comic book shops, and I think I
Yeah,
would be buying so much more if I had the really nearby one,
yeah,
because that's what my favorite part was as well.
yep,
And I so I remember, or you going to the any like the shop which sells graphic novels,
yep,
and the people just sit down there and just basically almost half read the story before
right.
they come into buy,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is actually quite a cool thing to do, but not good for the business. But
Okay.
oh,
Steve Scroach, yeah.
yeah, Steve Scrooge. Okay, cool. Oh, interesting. I want to see now. I'm probably gonna look online
It's
now
cool.
to see.
It's worth. I'm sure there's images online. Just have a
Yeah,
look online, and
yeah.
it's pretty cool from what I'm seeing. But again, I don't know the characters so well. I don't know the Fantastic Four so well.
Oh, I
Um,
like them. I absolutely love them.
I don't know if it's something I would like. I don't know. Just the art looked pretty cool though.
So you heard me raving about reading that. So John Burns, Fantastic Four, I think
Yes.
is
Yep.
really, if you like as I say, because of female representation, it's really good there.
Hmm.
So if you can get hold of one of the issues, it's cheap. They're not going to be pricey.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I got it for cheap. Those ones. I
Well, and
mean,
again, it's another one I'm sure that's collected, right? Like it might be a
oh,
library thing. Yeah.
oh yeah, for
And they
sure.
probably have a million
Oh yeah,
copies
yeah.
for library.
Marvel Epic Editions even
Okay.
collects those. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. But I highly recommend that to start
Yeah.
with because it's really entertaining as well to read,
Yeah.
and it
Cool.
doesn't, I don't know. It's very funny. I mean,
Hmm.
remember that cow's DNA and scrolls?
Yes.
I will never forget that story.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
They turn them into cows and then they drank the
Yeah.
milk
Yeah.
of the cows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. But yeah. I'm talking about scrolls.
Yep.
Secret Invasion on Disney is gonna be. But
Oh,
I was thinking,
did you see that trailer?
no, I didn't watch. Maybe I should. But
It looks
um,
fucking good.
but I thought it's a movie. But apparently it's TV show
No,
now.
it's a TV show. Yeah, and it looks honestly, it looks really good.
I need to watch now.
I'm trying not to get too excited about it because I go to see the movies and they're less as
Mm-hmm.
appealing as the trailer. But this one looks like we were talking about before. Just
Mm-hmm.
about like as much as I appreciate the humor in the Marvel movies, I'm finding sometimes it's getting a little too much. This one
Yeah.
looks like it's a little bit the opposite direction of it looks pretty dark, it looks pretty serious. I'm sure Nick Fury, Sam Jackson will have some wisecracks in this sort of thing too. I'm sure he will,
Yeah,
but
one-liners.
it
Yeah.
does look like it's more darker, serious tone overall, which I'm pretty excited about.
So did you hear about that new Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
Did I hear about it? No, I just saw the
They
trailer and it looked pretty entertaining. But yeah,
apparently it's the most serious movie of Marvel have ever released yet.
are you kidding me? Really? I find that
Yeah.
hard to believe. They're the goofiest. Like I love the other movies a
But
lot.
that's why. And apparently it's one of the Rick Moranis run
Oh, really? Hey?
stories.
Oh,
Well, he said himself. I follow him on Instagram, and
oh,
he
okay.
said he went to see the movie, and he was so surprised. Well, not surprised, but he knew it. He wasn't able to disclose it, but they
Yeah.
used one of his written stories.
Really? That's pretty promising, actually. Wow.
Well, that's what he said. I don't know.
Huh?
But yeah, I've heard saying that it's gonna be like really serious. Apparently,
Yeah.
it's not what you expect from Guardians movie like you used to. Apparently,
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, we're gonna go see it. When we
but
went
I'm
to
not
see
sure.
the Judy Blume movie, we saw they have this big cardboard
Mm.
cutout advertisement, and it's like May 5th, I think it comes out. So it's on the family's radar. Like we're gonna go see it regardless
I
at
think
some
so.
point. So
I am gonna definitely gonna go because I mean I don't know how much to believe that, but if it's true, I would be intrigued to see like you say, it's a goof characters.
Yeah.
How do you make it to a serious note?
How do you make it serious? Yeah, yeah.
Basically Guardian started that laugh thingy, like that non-serious
It
side
sure
to
feels
them.
like it. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that's the end of a chapter for
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Close the book on the humor. Close the book on the slapstick. Let's
Let's
get
chop
to it.
everybody
Yeah,
in it.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, I was surprised that, as I say, I'm following Rick Remender on Instagram, and he was saying that, yeah, I now can say that it was part of my script. Like,
yeah.
oh, okay, now I'm more interested than ever.
Absolutely. And that's the
Yeah,
thing. Like, if you're gonna hit some creators, hit some interesting creators,
yeah.
I'd be on board to see how they translate that, right? So
Oh, if they would make Uncanny X-Force in the movie, man, I would be
yeah,
the first one to watch.
yeah, hey, yeah.
That team would be like kick ass. Of
Uh-huh.
course, too much X-Men for you, but
Yeah, yeah, no, but I'm the thing is though, he's appealing, he's a great writer. I mean, I like
yeah,
his writing generally, so that's
yeah,
what would make me read stuff like that, seeing those names attached and
yeah,
knowing that I like kind of generally what they write, I'd be on
mhm,
board.
yeah. Well, anyway,
Um,
so that should
just
be
wanted
interesting.
to show, like I went to a convention today. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
yes,
show a
yes.
couple of I didn't get very much, but I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I got. I showed
Go,
this to
go.
Rasa already before we started. This Ditko Kirby wood put out by Fantagraphics, a tribute to three of the greatest comic book artists of all time. But I don't know anything about this. I don't know if Damien is still here, if he's heard about this or read this. It looks super appealing. Like that cover is so striking, and
Mhm.
the interior art looks pretty great too. Super curious, but I have no idea what I'm in for. Except here's their interpretation of like Ditko and
Mhm.
seeing eternity there, and look at that Spider-Man. Like that's an unbelievable
And
page. I
Mr.
hadn't seen
A.
that already, so
Yeah, and Doctor Strange.
yeah. So that looks incredible. I finally found. I've been looking for this single issue. I've been looking for this single issue for so long, but every
Oh,
time I see it, it is so goddamn expensive that I
so,
just don't want to pay for it. Um, this one was in a 50% off bin, so it was
yeah.
priced at like $18, which I never would have. But for $9, that's pushing it. But I got it
Mhm.
anyway because, like I said, I didn't. There was really nothing else there. So it's a Robert E. Howard. My memory is, and Damien will be able to correct me. My memory is that this is kind of the Marvel version of Bloodstar, the stuff that I loved that Corbin did. But please
Oh,
correct me if I'm
wow.
wrong about that,
Oh,
Damien. Um,
Gil Kane, Gil Kane, Gil Kane.
yeah, and it looks beautiful. I've seen some stuff online, and I've been looking for it forever, but I just haven't. I've just
Look at
never
that.
seen it.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Jeez.
and it's one of those issues for some reason. I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than just the Gil Kane-ness of it, but it always seems to be the one issue when I do find these that's always the most expensive. So I don't know what the backstory is on that. Um, is it a first appearance of something? Is it like I don't know why? So I think it's a different Howard story. Okay, yeah, good. Not Bloodstar. Okay. Either way, super excited about
Are
it. So
wait, it's Gil Kane.
yeah,
That's a good thing anyway.
yeah, no,
Jesus, look at those.
100%. Yeah, totally. I had it on my list on my phone forever and a day, so it's nice to. I kind of couldn't believe that I saw it. It was the only issue of Supernatural Thriller that this one guy had as well too, so it was nice
Oh,
to
you see?
find that
Oh,
fucking Neil Gaiman issue of Miracle Man.
17.
Impossible to find. It was also in that 50% off bin as well too, so it ended up
Uh-huh.
being like $6 or something instead of 12 or whatever. So still a little on the pricey side that I like to pay for this stuff,
For
but
the.
honestly I don't
Mm-hmm.
have very many of these. They're so fucking hard to find
Mm-hmm.
that I figured why the hell not just grab it while I can. And again, he only had a couple of Miracle Man issues from the Eclipse run. The other ones I had already they were from the early, but I don't see, this was the only one from this Neil Gaiman run that he had though. I don't see these at all out there. So very cool. And I love the covers on these,
Mm-hmm.
this era of Miracle Man. And then two more of this Louder Than Words by Sergio. I'm just
Uh-huh.
missing the one issue now. So this is a Dark Horse 6-issue miniseries. And it's Sergio, so not much to be said about it other than it's fucking awesome. It's really great. I think they were all silent stories
Oh.
throughout, so non-text ones.
Mhm.
And then finally, book
Oh, oh,
2 of the first comics collections of Ninja Turtles. So, and this one is perfect for me because it collects issue 4, 5, and 6. I
oh yeah,
don't have number 4 or number 6. The
nice.
only, it's not disappointing, but the only, it's in color, so it's not in black and white, but I'm okay with that. I just want to read the story so I can kind of continue reading where I left off, because this is those mousers, those robots that had
Yeah.
taken Splinter and stuff. So I'm really
Mhm.
looking forward to this one, because I can just kind of continue. I'll probably read issue number 4 here. Number 5, I'll go black and white, and then 6, I'll come back to color. And then I have 7, 8, and 9 in single issues, so I'll be able to
Uh-huh.
kind of continue on with it. This one was the priciest thing I picked up. This was like
I
20
bet.
bucks.
I bet.
Uh, but it was 20 bucks well spent. So it's in beautiful shape. It's a little bit dirty on the back, but it's really nice. So yeah, that was it.
Especially, especially when you see a $4 price tag in the back, and you pay like more, and like.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that these aren't necessarily the easiest to get, so I figured 20 bucks, it's worth it. I'll kind of splurge, I guess, because I don't think I'll see them around anymore anywhere else. So
Yeah, but combined of 4 issues, I don't think you would overspend anyway, because in
Mhm.
single issues, all
three
those
collects three issues. Yeah,
3 issues. So I
yeah.
mean, combination of those, I think number 4 is not as easy to get a hold of anyway.
No, I can't imagine that it is. Yeah, the early stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
also, just for people out there who know, I saw Garrett, Comic Guy Rules, at the convention. I don't know if
Cool.
Garrett tunes into our Sunday chats. We didn't talk about that. We just kind of caught up. It was super nice to see him, though. He's doing super well. His
Good.
buying has really tapered down, but he's still like, he was there looking for Eerie magazine, because I think he's got all of the creepy at this point, but he's closing in on getting all of the Eerie, or so he's kind of zeroing in on his collection, like really focusing on some stuff that he just kind of wants to complete his runs. But it was great to see him. Really nice to see him. I usually run into him at the conventions. This was the one time we had a little more chance to catch up, because either it's he's just leaving or I'm just leaving when we cross paths. So yeah.
That's good. Well, at
Yeah.
least you see somebody you know. That's nice. It's
Yeah.
always nice to see somebody to meet.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a good find, man. Wow.
It's a fun little convention. It costs $5 to get in, which whatever, that's fine. It could be
Mm,
way worse. And normally I just don't always go to it because the people that are there, this is the one show where there's so many slabs. There's so many people selling slabs and toys and things, and it's just like fuck. So, and it's filled with Marvel, DC. There's like maybe 2 tables that I go to, 3 tables that I go to, because I
mhm.
know they're gonna have some stuff, like some more indie stuff. But yeah, it's just filled with books that I just go for it, do it, but I just have no interest in. Right? It's a ton of, and when I do see, every once in a while, I'll see a new seller, and it'll say indie bin,
Mhm.
and I look, and it's like modern indie stuff, and it's pretty much just newer Image comics,
Mhm.
which I'm sure there's some good stuff in there, but I don't know. I don't really have too much interest in that stuff, and then it's filled with Marvel and DC stuff that zero interest really. So yeah, because it's all the newer stuff, and then it's the slabbed stuff. Like I said,
Mhm.
it's kind of newer books and things, right? So yeah,
Yeah, all those slabs in the world, and there's so many of them
so
now.
many fucking slabs. One guy, his entire booth was just slabs. He had a wall of slab books, and then he had, I don't know, 4 boxes filled with slats. All that he was selling. He wasn't selling any floppies, any collections, nothing. Just and I mean, maybe he does really well. What the fuck do I know? But I can't
Yeah,
imagine you're coming to a show like that and selling a ton of slabs. I don't see
maybe.
it. But I guess if you sell 1 or 2, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sells for itself, isn't it? That's why.
I also saw that guy, we've talked about it before, who had that Strange Tales 110. So I happened to overhear him talking to somebody about it. He was willing to go only as low as $3,000 Canadian for it. But
Well, it's
honestly,
not
it looks like
bad.
it's in pretty good yeah, that's honestly what I was thinking. I'm like, actually, considering how that good that looks, I didn't look closely, but on a glance, it's like it looks pretty sharp.
So
But
it's not slapped.
it was not slabbed. No, it's flat. It's loose.
Wow.
That's the other bonus about it too, that it's not encased in a shrine. It's there to be read, but it's like, fucking hell, man. That's a lot of comics I'd have to sell to be able to justify walking in the front door with that book in my hands. Hey, honey, look what I got today. Get out. Get out. You go sell that back right now. It's like the kid coming home with the Jack and the Beanstalk is what I would be. The fuck are you doing?
Look, I have this three beautiful things.
Yeah.
But don't you think it looks amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's definitely a grail book for me, for sure. I would love to, but not for. There's no way. But it was good to hear him kind of talking to somebody else about it, so I didn't have to ask.
Maybe it's time for you to go to those conventions then and sit down at the table and try to sell your stuff or whatever.
Well, that's one of the guys that I talk to all the time, Don. I talk to him, and that's what he was saying. He's like, why don't you set up at these shows? I'm like, I don't have enough to justify paying because I think it's $75 now to rent a table. It used to be $50. I don't have like 75. I would never even make that back because I have so little to sell, right? So I just don't have enough to kind of make it worthwhile. And the guys that I have gone with in the past, they're not into selling anymore. They don't have anything to sell. So I'd have to kind of really find someone with the majority where I could pay a fraction of the price, and I could sit there with my one short box and just hang around and talk to people, really. So, which would be fun though, but not for $75. I'll pay the $5 and hang out.
Oh, funny. Anyway, okay. That was good chat. Thank you, people, for coming, turning up. I know it wasn't really mentioned earlier.
So long, everybody. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up at the chat, so I've missed most of it.
No, I put it on. It's not much you missed anyway. So there you go. So thank you very much for chatting. And next week, if you're going to turn up, you go to the Crack channel.
That's right.
Make sure. Maybe I think, Terrence, it's time for you to make a soundtrack of your Crack, eh?
I think so. I think so. Do a little intro music or something, yeah.
Maybe put you on your phone. You're more than capable of making crack noises on your...
Yeah, I did it for the radio show. Did I tell you that? I did it at the radio show. Had the sound effect going for my name. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do it. Because it's it screams crack. You need sound for that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Thank you, people.
Later.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.